All right, we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, fuck. I am excited to be back. Sorry, we took a few days off. We had a trip to Texas, and we had a fucking blast. I just want to give a huge shout out to everybody I met down there, specifically a few people that were extremely kind and some even people I met. So let me give a shout out to Josh Siegel real quick, my boy, aka Schwa. I got to spend some time down there with him, got to meet his family. Let me give a shout out to Sean, who me and my wife are affectionately calling the Porno King. Go check out his podcast called Wholesome Addiction. You can find it pretty much anywhere, but go to wholesomeaddiction.com and check that out. I want to give a shout out to Shannon Walker, drag racer I met down there. Very excited to have him on the podcast when we get back down. And a big shout out to Trey Snyder, who was a very kind host and showed me around and introduced me to a ton of people. And last but not least, I obviously want to give a big shout out to Mike Singletary, who took some time out of his weekend and came and had lunch with me, and we just had a blast. I just can't explain it enough how fun it was. But yeah, I just wanted to give a big shout out to them, and just big shout out to you guys, including the patrons, because you guys are the ones helping get this thing done, and all the subscribers and the viewers. And nonetheless, let's get on with this damn thing, right? This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Shooter Lube. You guys seen it coming. Don't act like you didn't. Shooter Lube is America's best gun care system. Two-stage system with the military-grade cleaning solvent and the extreme weapons oil. Shit penetrates deep into the metal. But the real point is go to shooterlube.com and save 10% at checkout. Join the revolution and go to shooterlube.com to save 10% at checkout by using the promo code SINGER. This episode of the podcast is also sponsored by Werner Elements. Now, Werner Elements, this is an interesting company, you guys, because basically the world of navigating online and figuring out what the hell you're supposed to do, how to coordinate your social medias, how to get your website up and going. It's a fucking confusing world out there. Some people are going, oh, just $100 on Squarespace. Other people are going, no, you need to spend 50 grand. Bullshit. It's all bullshit. The reality is, go to wernerelements.com, because they're going to be your partner in growth. You guys, you need a website, you need social media, and you need a way to best represent yourself these days so you can break out from the crowd. This is what this company can do, okay? Exclusive to the Extravaganza listeners, if you go to tcbands.com right now, Werner Elements is buying TC Bands. Right now, the prices are what they are, and exclusive, no one else knows about this, exclusive to the Extravaganza listeners, you can still go lock in those prices where you can get your own domain and unlimited hosting, all the fancy buzzwords that I don't know, I should know. You can get it all for an entire year, hosted everything, unlimited shit, whether you're doing art, podcasts, whatever. Go to tcbands.com and you can still lock in those prices. As soon as they complete the merger, it's going to be called WeHost. And I'm working with them right now to see if we can still get some sort of promo for JSC listeners, but it doesn't sound like it as of this moment. Maybe we can pull some strings, but right now, as soon as it becomes WeHost, the prices are going up, guys. So make sure you go over there. As far as everything else goes, once you get that domain, once you get that hosting, once you know what you're doing there, and you go, okay, now how do we make this thing look good? That's where Werner Elements comes in. So they're going to help make your social media consistent, your website consistent, so you can stand out and you can own your own business and your own data and your own product. Okay, so go to wernerelements.com, get a free consultation. He'll give you a down to the penny price quote, and then as soon as you guys agree on the package and everything that he's going to do for you, use the promo code SINGER and save yourself 10% off of that contract. All right, enough of that good shit. I do need to give a shout out to all the Patreons. If you guys are feeling frisky, please go to fucking patreon.com/JaredSingerLive. And if you haven't already, please slap that thumbs up, smack the subscribe button, and punch that notification bell like it owes you money. That way you know when we go live again for new content. And I also want to give one more little promo here to myself. We're doing a 420 special because 420 is my wedding anniversary. We're not doing the actual show on 420. We are going to pre-record it with some special guests, mystery guests, and that's going to be on 4/17, okay, on Saturday the 17th at noon, and you're going to have to go to my Patreon if you want to watch and interact live. It's going to be $1 live on my Patreon. Now, here's the best part. You don't have to pay for it, okay? You can watch it for free on 420 at 420, but if you want to interact live and be a part of it live you got to go to Patreon and you got to spend $1. Okay, so please, it does help to support the channel as well. I know it's only $1, and we only get like half that after all the fees and everything, but it still helps nonetheless. There's one more thing I wanted to say. Shit, what was it? $1 on Patreon, blah, 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 blah. Fuck, I can't remember. Can't be that important if I can't remember. All right, well, I guess that's that then. So my guest for today is Pat Ruhland, my old drummer. Love this guy, sweet drummer, just an absolute human metronome. Sent me a new demo track today of a playthrough he's doing. Well, it's not really a demo. It's like a video of him tracking drums for his album. And I'm just super proud because when I first met him and when I first used to play with him, he had no swing in his bang. And now he's got some swing. So not only is he thrashing and just shredding on the drums, but he's also got a little bit of swing in there. And I dig it. I'm really excited. And he was on the podcast once before, way back in the day when we only did audio. So this is his first time coming back on where we're actually going to do video. I'm very excited. Please welcome to the podcast my boy, Pat Ruhland. How often do you think you think about it?
Like once a month, maybe.
Really?
It's pretty like in the back of my mind at this point.
Oh, we're live.
Cool.
Yeah, it's interesting because they taste pretty good. Before the podcast, we're just to catch you guys up. We were talking about non-alcoholic beers and how they make me more thirsty than a regular beer does.
It's very
like
strange.
I will literally need to stop halfway through and like go drink a water or a LaCroix or something because it's just fucking. Not gonna lie though, I would not have any integrity if I sat here and pretend I successfully have gotten this far into April without drinking any booze.
Yeah.
I absolutely had dozens of beers in Texas. Dozens of beers.
They have a lot of like microbrews down there too, obviously.
It's definitely not like here.
Okay.
At least where I was in Texas. So I was in like North Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 4 towns spread over. I mean, I was only technically there for 2 days. I flew in Friday and I was out Monday morning. I still put almost 400 miles on my rental car. So it's very spread out where I was. Like I think most of Texas would be. I was not in downtown Dallas.
Okay. That's the only place of Dallas that I can think that I've ever been actually was downtown and then maybe on like an outskirts.
I was supposed to go to downtown Dallas. I was supposed to go spend part of Sunday afternoon in downtown Dallas. It just ended up... It was so funny, dude, because I got there. I had certain things planned for Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, and just shit kept getting bumped back to the next day to where there were so many things to do Sunday.
Yep.
I got as much as I could done, and then by 3, 4, 5 o'clock, I was like, fuck it, I'm done. I was like, I'm relaxing. I'm taking one night to just fucking not worry about work and like just have some fun. And I still couldn't really relax because I'm sitting there no matter how much fun I'm having a couple beers. I'm like, can't get too drunk. Got to make sure I can get back to the hotel. Flight leaves at fucking whatever. So I got to wake up. I think I had to wake up at like 5 a.m. I didn't get back to the hotel till like 11. And then I still had to like just double check, repack, make sure I didn't forget anything. It was...
Yep. Yeah, I had like the opposite problem on my last vacation.
Really? We
didn't plan anything. So, like, our plan was basically just go to the beach and lay on a beach.
Where was your last vacation?
Puerto Rico.
You were talking about that before the podcast.
Yeah. We pretty much stayed in Fajardo.
You've been there 3 times now?
Yeah. So
each time to this place, the same place?
So I've been to Fajardo twice. And then we went to I'm blanking on the name of the city, but it's like the opposite end of the island the second time we went, and it was not as cool. We prefer Fajardo because you're right by the El Yunque rainforest, so you can do like hikes in the rainforest and shit like that. So we did that for one day, but there was a lot of stuff that we had like kind of sort of planned to maybe do some more like traveling throughout the rest of the island. But honestly, we just like woke up at like, well, I woke up at like 6 or 7 still, but everyone else that we went with, my wife and our roommate, were just like slugs.
Were you sober yet?
Until noon. Oh yeah.
Okay, so you were already sober. Were they sober?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Tanya doesn't really drink all that much anymore. Every once in a while, she'll have a little bit of gin, but that's about it. She like went...
That's your wife?
Yeah. She went from being like able to hold her own with anybody, drinking fucking whiskey like crazy, to it just like catching up to her real quick.
Yeah, that's called turning 30.
Yeah.
That's literally what that's called.
Yeah, one drink and she's done, and she just like it wrecks her for like an entire day afterwards. So she just said,
yep,
just screw it.
Whereas
me, it was like, I need to stop drinking.
I
or I'm gonna kill myself or kill somebody.
I think there's a lot of people that should probably quit drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I am not one of them. But I experienced something similar in Jamaica where I was still up at 6, 7, 8 a.m. every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I was drinking. I was partying harder than everybody in Jamaica, and I was going to bed a little earlier than a couple people, but way later than other people. My secret is no matter how hard I partied, I woke up and went straight into the hotel gym and gave myself like a half hour of just not necessarily heavy weights, but just the most intense full body workout, then go take a shower, eat a good breakfast, have a little tiny hair of the dog, and then pound water for like an hour. And we would meet up with everybody at the beach like 9, 10 a.m. And I'd be fucking locked and ready to just throw down, and everyone else is like
forcing that first beer down.
Just nerves. They can barely. They're shaking to drink water, or their fucking coffee spilling everywhere because they get the shakes so bad, dude. It was fucking. I swear to God, that's the key. Is like the harder you party, the more you need to work out that morning.
Sure.
There's something to that, dude. I don't know what it is. I'm not smart enough to describe it, but
force yourself to get up and
there's something about just like engaging your body to flush that shit out. Works way more naturally than any amount of fluids you can naturally just put in, or a hair of the dog, like even just food. It's because I still did all those things, but it was I really strongly felt like it was the working out that really did it for me. Because now I don't work out at home. Fuck that. I got too much shit going on, man. I wake up, I'm hungover. I'm like, give me a beer, or I'll have a Bloody Mary, and then where I risk it is what you talked about. Like, I don't want to stop. If I have that Bloody Mary or a beer right away to cure it, we're getting day drunk, baby.
Oh yeah, you're ready to go.
You miss day drinking?
Lubed up.
Day drink for me, that was the best.
I mean, yeah, I missed like day drinking on my day off, whereas like I was day drinking while I was at work.
That you don't miss that.
No, should not have been doing that. So, no, taking my lunch breaks, going to Luce and having 2 pints was probably not a good idea. And that was like just to like keep me level.
God, that's so crazy. You went from like this innocent Christian kid when I first met you. Well, technically you were a Catholic kid.
Yeah.
For getting specific. You were this like super innocent Catholic kid. And then all of a sudden, like years later, you're on Instagram, your handle's like wasted for Satan or some wild
still is
some fucking ridiculous.
Sober 3 years, but I'm still wasted for Satan.
You don't believe at that time. You don't believe in God at all anymore. Oh. You're drinking and fucking raging. You've also gotten married, so it was like and now it's almost back to full circle. Like you're back to like sober, fucking. But you've always been pretty gathered. Like,
sure.
The wildest I ever seen you get is when we did that show in South Dakota. You were filling in for us.
Oh, yeah.
And we played to that empty warehouse hangar.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. There's still probably 100 kids there.
Is this the hotel?
Yeah.
That we
it was
did terrible things to. I still kind of feel bad about that.
I did not do anything bad. Speak for yourself. You got seduced by Jeremy.
Yeah.
I don't even remember you doing anything. I just remember Jeremy trashing that hotel room, and I remember being livid.
Yep.
Livid. I remember being so mad that he would do that. Because I just knew we weren't fucking Motley Crue yet. We can't get away with that kind of shit. It's not cool for us to do it.
Right.
Like, it was offensive.
Yeah.
In really, really bad
like
taste.
we cost someone like a lot of money in cleanup. Plus made a maid clean that shit up. It's just like
hundreds of dollars in fees. But I do remember you getting drunk enough to where all of a sudden you're just walking through the hallway and we're like, Pat, what the fuck is going on? And you're like, oh, you're talking about the fact that I don't have pants? We're like, yeah. And you go, oh, I'm throwing a new pants party.
No,
you want to come?
party.
No pants party. And literally like 4 of us just dropped our pants and we were all just walking around in our boxers throughout this entire hotel. We had 6 or 8 rooms. on that whole level.
Did we really?
Yeah, because there was like 2 or 3
Oh,
rooms
that's right.
for our
Yeah,
band
there were
and 2 or
multiple
3
bands.
rooms for Ginger Jake, and then there was 1 or 2 other bands that had rooms too.
Ginger Jake, because I think about that show a lot, just because it was so weird, and I can never remember the name of that band, Ginger Jake. Yeah, that show was super weird.
It was supposed
this
to be a big fucking deal.
huge fucking stage, huge production, and like 30 people.
It seemed like there was no one there. It seemed like there was 5 people there.
Yeah.
I think there actually was like 100 or 150 people in that building.
But just
it
just
held
the
like
size of that place.
8,000 people. Like it was such a fucking, maybe not 8,000, but it was so big and so empty. You had a hard time gauging how many bodies would actually fill that room.
Yeah.
Like if you got 500 people in that room, you can kind of like multiply that with your eyes and go, oh, so this is a 3,000 person venue.
Were you at Dying Euphoria when they did that like northern Minnesota casino?
Yeah, the rig battle of the bands.
Yeah,
similar
thing.
Similar thing.
Drove all the way up there, huge production, like
there was
just seats.
Yep,
seats as far as the eye could see.
I can't believe you don't remember that I was still in the band then, because I did 2 very
terrible memory.
I did 2 very memorable things that night. So remember,
I didn't stay the night though.
But do you remember we got there the night before?
Yep.
No, yeah, that's right, because you met us there.
I was in school, and I tried to.
You were on a family trip.
I was trying to convince my parents, like, don't worry, I'll be fine. I'll drive up there. I'll skip a day of school. It'll be fine. And my parents were like, no, we're paying for your school, so you're not skipping a day of school. So they drove up with me, and I'm glad they did.
You were in college.
Yeah, because we drove back that night, and we probably didn't get home until 4 a.m. And then I had to be in class by 6. So it was kind of terrible, but
should have skipped that day of school.
Should have skipped that day of school. Yeah.
But we got there the night before, so that's right, you weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was basically the same thing. But it was rock night on the Friday night. We played on the Saturday night. And the night we were supposed to play, I don't know if you were there yet, but it was the same thing. Because when we got there, it was like dead, like ghost town. And everyone's like, people don't like this rock bullshit here. People want metal. Like tomorrow night, this place will be packed. Plus, there's something else going on in town here tonight. This was Friday night when we showed up. So we're like, all right, well, tomorrow, let's turn it up. And you and I and Dying Euphoria played second to last. And Buried by Hope went up right after us. And no one showed up for like the 6 local bands before us. Mm-hmm. And so, but there was, just like you said, chairs, like 1,500 chairs. But there was still like 50 or 60 people, like sparsed out. And I think there's one person in front of the stage, like usual, one drunk guy or one drunk girl. And I just remember, I don't know if you had arrived yet. That's what I'm getting at, is I think you're right. I don't think you had even shown up yet.
Yeah, I
think
there
you showed up
like
an
afternoon.
Hour before we actually went on, or 2 hours before. But anyways, while these fucking 3 or 4 opening bands, local bands, I got so frustrated at the shit show of the turnout that I was like, I don't even give a fuck anymore. Right?
Yep.
So I remember
that was kind of everyone's vibe.
I remember
was like,
running
fuck
through.
It, they got us a hotel room and they're paying us money. Like
a lot of money we got paid. I remember grabbing and kicking over all of those chairs and just like fucking having my own one-man mosh show to just clear this area so people could, at least the 50 people that were there, if they wanted to, they could actually come stand directly in front of the stage.
Yeah, because those chairs were super close to this. They basically set up chairs all the way up to the stage. Yeah. There was no floor whatsoever.
You were like looking straight up at the lead singer. You were so close you probably wouldn't have seen the drummer, because the stage is like 4 feet tall. Yeah, and then we did our thing. And then I remember Buried by Hope playing, and I remember me and a couple of the other DE guys, maybe even you, crashing their show. So like we just ran up on stage. I grabbed the mic from Jeremy or Jason and started singing along and shit. And it was supposed to be rigged. Buried by Hope was supposed to win that battle of the bands. Okay. And every single person who turned in a vote voted for us. And Bill was trying to spin it to everyone, and he couldn't get it done. So the compromise was for everyone, so he didn't lose face. was he made Buried by Hope split it with us. We were supposed to get paid like $2,000. They were supposed to get paid like $4,000 or something like that. And then we both got paid like $3,000. And dude, Chad was like, dude, you guys got to give us that $1,000 back. And we're like, fuck you, bro. We ain't giving you shit. And dude, they were mad at us. They were mad at Bill. They were mad at everyone. And it was like, listen, I've lost every battle of the bands I've ever been in. And this was supposed to be rigged for me to lose.
And we won
and I
it.
won. So fuck you. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I'm also not sorry. I finally won a battle of the bands, and I haven't joined one since because I was like, nope, once you win, you're done. You're out. Finish on top. Because you and I were in a couple battle of the bands together, and I swear to God, that is one of the hardest things to do is like compete in an art form.
Well, because they do feel rigged. They feel rigged in a sense that whoever brings the most fans out, it's not actually people up there going, huh, okay, and like writing things, like tallying down, like, these guys had a really good stage presence, and these, that's not what it is.
It's not like figure skating.
Yeah, it's whoever brings out the most people. That's who wins the battle of the bands.
Essentially a popularity contest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that, dude. But the reason I still like them and I advise most people to do them is because I swear to God, the first couple rounds aren't popularity contests. So if you're focused on winning the damn thing, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Is what you need to do is focus on winning the first couple rounds so you can make it to the last couple rounds. Because if you make it to the finals, especially, there's going to be a huge fucking crowd there. Mm-hmm. And that amount of exposure, it's hard to find that many new fans that are geared up to hear new music, and you can turn motherfuckers.
Oh yeah.
Like people will come up and be like, listen, man, I came here for my buddy, but I voted for you guys. You remember that kind of shit? And you're like, really? Thanks, man. No way. But, man, when you lose, that shit is devastating. It is heartbreaking, especially when you know you fucking smoked that other band.
I mean, if you make it that far, I guess, yeah, that's probably a bit devastating, but I don't know. I didn't really take those things too seriously.
Well, we talked about this too. You're not a sports guy either. Right. I'm hyper competitive.
Sure.
Like, dude, part of my soul dies when I lose anything. Like, dude, we're talking like the size of a pinhead, like something like that big. But even when I lose a match of Rocket League, just a tiny little piece of my soul is chipped away and forever lost, and I'll never be the same. But we go way back, so we could sit here and bullshit about anything we want and just catch up. But for the listeners and for the viewers who don't know who you are, explain to them what you do. Obviously, we don't need to tell your life story, but kind of give them a bullet point of like how you got started and how you ended up here.
Yeah, well, like you said, we go back, I don't know, to like 2005, 6, something like that.
I don't even know.
That was like when we started Solace and Ashes, but I've been playing drums since I was 12 years old. And I don't know, been in bands basically as soon as I could play a fucking beat. So when did you get into music? We never really, even when I was in a band with you, I don't think I've always been into music, I guess, because like my mom always played like the Beatles.
Oh, okay.
Like, but it was like my mom pretty much listened to like strictly the Beatles.
What does she play? Guitar, piano?
She plays piano.
Okay.
So she tried to teach me piano. I did not have the patience for piano.
What was it about it that drove you nuts?
It was reading music.
Really?
Yeah. She's a teacher. She's a piano teacher. So she was trying to teach me, and it was like, I felt like it was just too much work. I didn't want to learn these flashcards and learn what the notes looked like, where they were, and then I had to play those notes, and I didn't like that. And then so that was my first try at music, I guess.
So it's almost the structure that you didn't like.
Yeah.
The way she taught it.
My second try at music, I wanted to join orchestra, and I wanted to play bass. I wanted to be a bass player.
Like an upright orchestra bass?
I didn't think that. I think I in my mind, I was like, I'm going to learn how to play upright bass so that I can play rock bass.
Sure. They directly correlate. Yeah. They directly correlate because you got to drop that bow eventually. Sure. That's where I started too.
Okay. But I missed like the sign up for it. I signed up too late or whatever. So I was like, I guess I'm going to sign up for band. And I was like, oh yeah, percussion. That sounds fun. Just bang shit. And again, like it was, I always, obviously in school they want you to like, you can't just play the snare drum or just play the triangle. You need to learn everything. You need to learn xylophone. So that was like, fuck, I'm right back to learning piano.
I never knew that because I fucking immediately basically got kicked out of band because the only thing left were certain horn instruments. I apparently don't have the right jaw structure, so I cannot get a saxophone or a trombone or any of those instruments to work. So I imagine
maybe a woodwind would be easier than an actual like brass instrument, because brass instrument is all lips.
Yeah, but it's still something to do with like pressurizing your jaw structures. I don't know. I don't know. But they were like, this just isn't working. Like, try orchestra. And then they had one instrument left, and that was bass. Mm-hmm. And then immediately people dropped out. So I ended up playing bass, cello, and violin. But I was really the only competent person that could handle the bass. And like within 1 week of doing that, I started playing guitar. And immediately was like, this is bullshit. I want to play guitar. Yeah. But I didn't know that about band. So they wanted you to go and play every single instrument in band on the percussion side.
Well-rounded percussionist, basically. So you play snare drum, you play the bass drum, you play the gong. You know, they want you to be able to play everything. So, but I would.
Is there any benefit to that looking back?
Not really, because I always weaseled my way out of playing xylophone.
Gotcha.
Or marimba.
But theoretically, like, is there any benefit to you, like, because I'm thinking in my head, man, like, actually that kind of makes sense. Like, if all you're allowed to play is the kick drum and you really got to like read that music and be able to understand where that beat drops and play just that, you're still listening to everything. And then you got to be able to go over and do the snares, and that's all you're doing now. Did that correlate at all when you jumped on a kit? Like, was it easier for you to understand where each drum was within the rhythm?
No, I think a drum set is its totally own little thing. I mean, yes, it is a bass drum. You know, it's the whatever marching bass drum just put on the ground and put a pedal on it, and then the snare is now in your, you know. Yes, it's kind of many individual pieces just thrown into one.
Like orchestral wise, there's definitely some similarities.
But I don't think you need to have learned just snare parts, just bass drum parts, just cymbal parts, and then put them all together. I think it's a totally different thing.
I will say though, as far as technique goes, where I found you at fucking 17 years old when we first met, you were leaps and bounds way past everyone else, and who were pros and had been pros for 10 years, and you were just a baby.
And I can attribute that to primarily the 1 year that I spent in drumline. Irondale's drumline had like, they had high expectations for people in there, and that's what actually got me to not stay in it.
Really?
It felt like the military to me.
Interesting.
But they were so precise about, they would go around and they'd move your hand a little bit. They move your, you know, keep your hand here, move it like this, move it like this, move it like this, while we're doing our warm-ups for like 3 hours. Warm-ups were brutal sometimes. Normally you'd have stands, but this was the thing that broke me was we did I played tenors, so it's 5 drums all laid out, and they're fucking heavy. And when you march with them, you've got a big harness on, but you know, you're not out on the field for very long during that. We were doing our warm up, so it's like multiple hours with our fucking harnesses on, and it was brutal. And I was like, this is dumb. This isn't what I signed up for.
Wow.
I didn't sign up to fucking sweat my ass off and like be basically on the verge of tears because my back hurts, my everything hurts. This sucks. And like the instructors are being like, yeah, you feel that? Yeah. That's what drum corps feels like. And I was like, fuck this. I'd rather be playing soccer. So that's what I did.
Wow.
So I quit drumline and I played soccer for the next 3 years.
So when did you get back into music then?
I'd stayed in music because I was always playing in bands.
Oh, okay.
So I mean,
so you'd started to get the kind of cathartic release through making music and being in a band. You didn't need that bullshit in orchestra and all that, and in band class and all that.
Mm-hmm. But that's definitely where I got the base of all my technique from. And then obviously with YouTube coming out and everything, I just watched instructional videos there to work on foot technique and hand technique and increasing your speed. And and stamina. So
what's the most effective thing you found for that kind of shit? Like foot speed, hand speed? Is there a specific drill or a technique you've worked on?
Yeah, it's a 10-minute drill. That's just, it starts out, so it's just 2-minute increments. So you start with 4 on a hand, then move to 8 on a hand, 12 on a hand, 16 on a hand, and then singles.
So when you go to 12, are you just doing triplets?
No, it's just 12 hits. You're not actually changing.
Oh, gotcha.
They're all still
eighth notes or
notes,
whatever.
yeah.
Gotcha. Or 16ths or whatever.
Yeah, that's how I built up speed and stamina, because those last 2 minutes of just singles
and it's just on
is
each
like
hand.
brutal. Yeah, 1 2 3 4 1 2
But
3
that
4 1 2 3
last
4 1 2 3 4.
But that last,
And the last 2 is
really
oh yeah.
interesting.
And I would do it in like increments. I start real slow, and then figure, okay, I was fine throughout that entire thing. Bump it up 5 BPM, and then I basically found a point where I was like, okay, this is like feeling like I'm kind of struggling with it. So I'd stick with that BPM for a week or two, and then once that felt comfortable, then I bump it up by 2 BPM.
You literally go 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4.
Yep.
Over and over for 2 minutes.
For 2 minutes,
and then it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing on the left. 2 more minutes. Then it's 12 on the right, 12 on the left for 2 minutes. And 16 on the right, 16 on the left for 2 minutes, and then it's every other
singles. Yep.
just nonstop for 2 minutes,
Yep.
and that's where it'll kick your ass.
Yeah, that's what really pushed, at least my hands. You can do that exercise with your feet too, obviously, to build up your foot speed, and but I mainly just focused on my hands. I wasn't playing a lot of really fast stuff. This was when I was in the Body Beneath. That's when I started doing those.
Because you had to get a lot faster.
Those exercises, yeah.
And you came from our band to Body Beneath, right? That was the very next step you made when you left Solace, or when Solace broke up, or whatever.
I left Solace. I did like a fill-in thing with 6. That was probably still during Solace, and then then I joined the Body Beneath. And then after that,
and that's funny because we weren't
Australis.
fucking around in Solace and Ashes for our age, for the music that was out then. Like, we weren't exactly fucking around. Like, you were already impressing people and turning heads on the local music industry.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you got to Body Beneath, man, because I kind of put you through a boot camp that first year being in a band with me. Like, I was hard on you guys. I was hard on Nick. I was hard on you.
Yeah, well, because none of us had really been in that type of band before. We weren't, we were used to playing the fucking community centers. We weren't used to playing bars,
right?
Or getting promoting a show. Before it was just you text a handful of friends, hey, you want to watch me play drums for a half hour?
Yeah. I mean, high school talent shows, playing at church things, but those aren't real. It's not real. There's no pressure. There's no money on the line. There's no bigger shows around the corner. There's nothing at risk where it's like, you don't know who's in that crowd and might offer us a national show, just all that kind of shit, paying your dues of like what not to do. I got to give you guys a lot of props because I've done that a couple more times since then, where I found somebody who's super green and I was like, listen, I'll show you everything to do. Just like, listen, do your job. And like within a year, you'll be a professional musician. And you guys listened and you did shit and you got better, and it showed after a year. Dude, by the time I was in that rock band with fucking John Diley, that motherfucker didn't listen to shit. So, dude, so much, it was so bad he would argue with shit like, don't set your beer on the touring band's rig.
Right? Like, pretty self-explanatory.
Like, I just don't see what the big deal is. I'm like, oh my God, dude, fuck. Why? Like, seriously, John, like, I don't even have the energy to explain this to you.
Right.
Why would I make this up? Like, he was just so paranoid that I was trying to control him. So I got to give you guys a lot of props on that. Maybe you were young and naive and you weren't old and jaded. So you just trusted everything I was saying as truth, but you could have gotten young and you could have gotten cocky, and been like, oh, fuck, you don't know what you're talking about. But
sure. I mean, most of the things that you would explain to us made sense.
Most of them.
Because you were very, yeah. I mean, you had this, you were very, I don't want to say cocky. You were, you seemed very sure about the things that you were telling us to do, which was, we need to have this because there's a reason for this.
Yep. And yeah, the beautiful part about that is the reason I was so sure is because I didn't figure out any of that shit or discover it on my own. I was taught that by people more successful than me that helped me get a leg up.
Right.
And so all I was doing was passing that information down the chain like any decent human being should do. Don't make these mistakes. Do this. Here's why. Blah, 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 blah. And it was hilarious because I remember within 2 years of Solace breaking up, I remember you were doing shit above and beyond anything I had done yet. And so I was hitting you up like, hey, how the fuck did you do this? How'd you pull that off? And you're like, oh yeah, you do this, you do that. And like you were teaching me shit all of a sudden. It was kind of a cool turn of, I don't know what the phrase is there, but yeah, I started hitting you up for advice. Like, how's this work? How'd that happen? Oh, good fucking right on, man.
Yeah, that was right when I started to get into like networking with people out of state and everything like that.
And you started touring.
I found a really cool website that like some people used. It was kind of a crapshoot, but you basically just post on like a message board in a specific state. I can't remember the name of the website, but yeah, it was like a super convenient.
It was like indie on the go.
Yeah, something like that.
Like indie band.
Yeah, but you could look up by state, and it was basically just people had their information listed on there. You know, whereas
it was just honestly, it was just elaborate show training. It was the same shit we were doing to get out of town shows. So like when we'd go to Iowa or Sioux Falls or whatever, it was the same thing, but on a tour level. That's really all it was.
Yep.
I just didn't realize that was a thing. And you found this beautiful website. Yeah, and you just direct network with other bands and managers and club owners. And
it didn't always work out. You know, sometimes you'd get somebody who was willing to help out, and then all of a sudden they'd just like stop communication. You're like, wait, what? Did you set the show up or not? Like, you told me we were all good. Now, no? What's going on? Like, so that was, I was super ambitious, and we booked like a month-long tour, and we tried to book every single day, and we booked maybe 13 shows. So there was a lot of just like, oh, what are we going to do for 3 days in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, 13 ain't bad. If you can get 15 to 16, you can legit do every other day. And then you don't burn out.
Right.
But
I
still would go 2 weeks, 10 shows on your first tour. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. So after that, that was way too ambitious to do 1 month and to try to go all over the East Coast. When we got back from that, I went, okay, I need to think smaller. Let's do 4 or 5 dates in Minnesota, Wisconsin. Let's do a little bit northern Minnesota, go to Duluth, Superior area, then hit up Green Bay, Appleton area, Madison. And that worked so much better.
And then come back home.
Oh my God. Only having to travel for 3 hours at a time instead of like, fuck, dude, we got like a 12-hour drive today. Like,
yep. We started calling those. I started doing that in later projects I was involved with, and we called them loops.
Sure.
That's exactly what we would do. We'd go down, we'd hit Sioux Falls, or we'd hit Des Moines. We'd try to buzz over and hit like maybe Lincoln, then come back up, hit Sioux Falls, and then on the way home, hit like fucking Mankato, and then come back and play Minneapolis.
Yep.
On like a Friday night or a Saturday night or something.
Yeah, Mankato, the What's Up Lounge.
Dude, worst load in the history of the music industry.
I dropped a 8x10 bass cab on somebody.
You've toured all of this country.
I was supposed to be the top guy, and I slipped and let go. This dude was like, "Oh fuck, dude, what the fuck?"
You could have killed him. He could have died.
Dude, those stairs are so treacherous.
You've toured all over this country. Is there a single worse load in anywhere you've played than the What's Up Lounge in Mankato, Minnesota?
Yeah, there's a spot in Wisconsin. There's an all ages place, but it's maybe it's not as bad. It's a straight shot. It's not because Mankato is the up and up. Whereas
and it was a fire escape.
This one was just a straight shot. Yeah, it was. And
it was not a stable fire escape.
And they're metal
slippery
stairs, and you go up with fucking snow on them. Yeah, they're terrible.
The snow would build up, and then it would freeze into ice, and then more snow would fall on top of that. And then that would melt a little bit, so they'd just be pure slick ice on top, wet slick ice, but it was solid ice through the metal stairs that had been built up and compacted and melted and refrozen.
Yeah, that load-in was brutal.
I can't think of a worse one.
No. I mean, any basement show is going to suck too. They're super low ceilings.
The closest one I remember was we played that weird club in Iowa, not the House of Bricks. Remember, we played 2 shows in Iowa in one weekend. One was over in like Waterloo or some shit.
Okay.
And it was very similar to the What's Up Lounge, but it was like that. It was like a straight shot.
Isn't that basically like Waterloo is just like one? It's like one main road for their downtown, right?
I
It's just,
honestly
like,
can't
buildings
even
on
fucking
either side.
remember. I know it's two towns side by side. It's Cedar
Yeah.
Falls / Waterloo.
Yeah.
It's basically one glorified town.
Mm.
But I can't remember any. I just remember like certain things very vividly, and then I can't remember anything else.
Right.
But I remember we drove down there. We played with somebody. Fuck, who was it? Maybe I'm doing this in reverse. Because we played in Iowa at a bunch of weird places because we started hooking up those bands. There was like, we played a show in Fort Dodge one time. Do you remember when we got out of the van and there was the Confederate flag and the Nazi flag in Town Square? And I looked at you guys and I went, get me out of here. If they find out I'm Jewish, I'm fucked.
Yes, I do. I remember that very vividly. Yeah.
Why were we
just
there?
Like being like astonished, like how can
in
you
the
get
middle
away
of
with
Town
this?
Square?
Yeah,
like explain this.
We
to
played
people.
a show in Fort Dodge.
Explain this
It's
to people.
probably like a VFW or something.
Explain this to people though, because there's no way they can understand what we're saying. They're gonna think we're exaggerating.
Right. Think of like an old time like Town Square. It's exactly what it is. There's an open square in the middle of the town that was probably like a park or a fountain or some shit like that.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, there's just like a 3-story, square building, but in the window of one of these buildings was right next to each other, Confederate flag and fucking swastika.
And they weren't subtle.
No, it was their whole window.
And they were large windows.
It was fucking it was weird. It was very weird.
It was. Why were we in that town square though?
I imagine we were just trying to find something to eat. Maybe we were trying to find a gas station. I don't remember. We just happened upon it. We didn't go to that town square for any specific reason. We just
we did.
We just happened upon it.
No, I remember.
We
went to the library so we could log into MySpace.
Oh God!
And promote our show in Iowa.
Okay,
that's
I don't
what
remember
it was.
that. Was this? Was that the lodge? We played the fucking Mason Lodge, or was it next door to a Mason Lodge?
I don't remember. I just remember we got there late because we had to stop in Mankato to pick our shit up. And that's what it was, is like we stopped in Mankato to pick up our lockbox and our scrims because we forgot them there the night before.
Oh, that's right.
And then we drove all the way down. We were late for the show, but we ended up getting on and basically playing our entire set minus one song because we were fucking really able to remember that. We were like military setting up our gear. You had you had your rack set up so perfect. It was like unfold, prop, dun dun dun. We're ready.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, you guys need sound check? And we're like, you need sound check? We killed that, but then I remember we had a show the next night in Iowa in another town, and so we went to that fucking library and we went to go promote our show. That's why we were in there, because we needed to log into MySpace.
That's funny. Thinking about a time when phones only did phone calls and texts.
Yep.
And it was like, dude, I can't log on to the internet, man. It's going to cost me a fucking arm and a leg.
I don't even know how. I don't even think he had free text messaging.
Mm-mm.
I think he had like X amount of texts per month.
I'm sure some of the companies had unlimited.
Not us.
No.
We were children.
Really?
We were babies.
Oh
I was
God.
the oldest one in the band. No, Kevin was the oldest one in the
Mhm.
band, but he was still only 23.
He seemed older. I don't know.
Yeah, because he had a kid.
Yeah.
Remember? So he did seem older because he was responsible. He had like a real job and shit.
Had a truck with still had payments on it.
And a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And anytime he needed to buy something, he had the money to do it.
Man, he's got it figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what that guy's up to.
I don't know. Last time I saw him, I gave him back his vocal amp. I had held onto a vocal amp of his for like 3 years.
It probably don't even work anymore.
I don't know. I just remember my dad being like, "Can you get this out of my basement?" I was like, "Oh yeah, okay."
Dude. Oh, the PA amp. The PA amp. That thing probably still worked fine. I've got so many pieces of gear around here that old roommates have left behind.
Mhm.
And I'll go to plug them in and they don't even work anymore.
Sure.
Or they were so shitty to begin with. Like, it's like, I am not plugging that into my setup. Yeah, it's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah. I've had to downsize quite a bit with gear. Because I have a single practice space, which is basically just the Grand Demise It's Dan's house. We jam in his basement, and he's got his whole recording setup down there and everything, so it's super convenient.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
But yeah, that's it. I only have the one kit. I have another kit somewhere stacked up in my basement, and even that kit, I was like,
what did you play back then? It was like a Pearl Export or something.
Yeah,
it wasn't a bad kit, but it wasn't a nice kit.
It was
either.
Okay.
You had nicer cymbal. I remember your cymbals were nicer than your drum set.
It was yeah, it was
which
like
is the smart way to go for newer musicians that don't know where to spend their budget. Just get like a decent shell pack.
Sure.
Get good heads, learn how to tune the heads, and get nice cymbals.
I'm actually very surprised that more companies use maple as their main, as like that's like the most common type of kit you can find. Whereas I've been using birch for years because birch is super simple to tune. They sound awesome. They're right in the middle, so they don't like super cut through. But
I think maple's just cheaper.
Maybe, yeah.
It's either cheaper or it's easier to work with, or I don't know.
But yeah, anytime I've brought my birch kits into studios, the engineers are always like, "Dude, your kit sounds fucking great." And I go, "Isn't that weird? Because I don't know how to tune drums."
I have a Tama Star Classic, so it's really, really nice. I don't know how many plies it is, but I'm almost 100%. It is either all maple or it's maple and birch.
Okay.
I didn't get the birch Bubinga kit because that fucker is super rare.
Yeah, those are crazy expensive as well.
But dude,
they're supposed to sound great, but I don't know.
My kit sounds like shit when it's just me playing. People are like, "What the fuck, dude? Tune your drum heads." And I got sound engineers, like other musicians, and I'm like, just wait till we're all playing. And my shit cuts through the mix so nice. It just sounds amazing. I was like, okay, dude. And then sure as shit, like once we get everything dialed in, they're like, fuck, dude, you're right, dude. Like they sound terrible by themselves, dude. And yeah, I don't know the right way to tune them. I just figured out how to get my drums to sound right.
That's pretty much what I do. I will like detune a drum down and then just kind of like slowly turn it up little by little. And then, like, you know, there's lots of weird little things. People tap on the individual like near the lugs and try to listen for, you know, do they sound the same? I don't do that anymore. I
use that
drum dial.
Yeah.
A lot of people swear by that thing.
Yeah, I just fucking lock it up.
Yeah.
I hand tighten them and then I just set it to a thing. If it hit it, if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't sound right, 1-2 more notches, do it again. Yep. Just do the star pattern, keep it simple.
People swear by those drum dials. They're supposed to be really nice. I had a friend of mine, he's like super drum
Not
nerd.
the one you set on the head.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Where it actually measures the tightness of the head.
Fucking tension rod one.
Yeah, you're talking about the drum key that has like a tightness setting, right?
Yeah, tension key, yep.
Yeah, drum dial is supposed to be the way to do it.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Between that and a mic measuring frequencies.
Sure.
I'm sure. Fuck them guys. Ugh. Annoying. They take all that's how I feel about what you were talking about with like the regimented military structure. That's not even fun anymore.
Yeah. Tuning drums is not fun.
Well, and then when you start boiling, there's this one freak. No one can hear that.
Right.
No one cares, dude. Unless the human ear can hear it coming through the thing, who gives a fuck, dude? Does it sound good? Leave it. Like, I don't care if this one lug is 7 cents off from the one across. Who gives a fuck, dude?
Sure. Did you get it to a point where it sounds good? Good. There you go.
Right. Fuck, man.
Yeah. I just think that the drum dials are more of just I mean, imagine you want to tune that drum. If you're moving heads back and forth, you have your shit written down. Okay, I had this head at this tension. You can just go back and do that again. I think it's probably like a repeatable. It's easy to repeat the same sound from using a drum dial.
Right on.
So,
I just don't have the patience.
Sure, and neither do I. Which is why like it's very surprising to me that I get compliments about how my drums sound, because it's like that's funny because I spend very little time tuning drums.
I wonder if that's why they sound good though, is because you're not overthinking it. You just do it to where it sounds good to you, and you just roll. And I'm also wondering, there's this old adage, and I subscribe to this one 100% in guitar playing, which is that 90% of your tone comes from your fingertips. Not your guitar, not your tone wood, not your pickups, not your amp, not your pedals. 90% of that tone comes from your fingertips. I also think there might be something like that in drumming as well. So it's like you just put you playing drums that you think sound good, and they sound good.
Sure.
I put you on my kit, it might not sound good. I jump on your kit, it might not sound good. But
right.
Either one of us have to do is tweak the other guy's kit to where we respectively think it sounds good, and all of a sudden, boom, sounds better.
Sure.
Because I've experienced that too, where I've heard other guys get off a kit, and I'm like, God, that sounds so fucking nice, dude. Like guys I've shared spaces with, I'm like, show me what you got, blah, 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 blah. And then he'll come over to mine and he'll fucking show me what he did. And then I'll get on and it's like, oh yeah, it sounds great. Doesn't sound as good as when he was playing, but it sounds, it sounds great. And then the whole band plays and they're like, something's off. It doesn't sound right. And then slowly within like a week, I got my drums back to where I had them. And they're like, fucking sounds good again, dude. So I'm thinking there's something to do with that, how you play.
Yeah, maybe.
We don't all hit with the same velocity.
Right. We
don't all double stroke the same. Like, yeah, I think there might be something to that. To quote the common man, I'm either on something or I'm onto something. Right. Let's do this, dude. Let's play an old jam from Solace and Ashes. No, I'm just kidding. I actually found a CD of ours.
Was it the first demo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I actually found that.
Nice.
I'm not going to play it, but no, but I do have some of your shit here queued up. So let's do this. Let's get back to the main cam. Let's go to the media player and let's play. What do you want to play? We got 2 regular songs and then we got those 2 playthroughs.
Let's do one of the video playthroughs.
Okay, perfect. Mute our mics. There we go.
That's a track from Obsolete. Obsolete is a band I'm in with Lucas Scott. Lucas is in Sunless, and Scott Frixel, Dan Lee. Dan Lee's in a bunch of bands. Dan, sorry, I'm forgetting all of your band's names, and that's it.
Nice, dude.
I think it's just 4 of us.
I watched that.
It's been a while since we've been together.
You sent that one to me earlier today, and I checked it out, and I texted you before the podcast. I was like, "Oh, you got a little swing in your bang now, bud.
Yeah.
Fucking proud of you." When I played with you, you were just a straight fucking metronome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was so hard to get you to put a little swing in something when we needed it. Like, even like during breakdowns and shit, like your drums were, and it was part of our sound.
Sure.
But
I still have a hard time with that. Making stuff groove is.
But you've gotten a lot better.
It's hard when
even in a thrash song like that, I can hear it. Like, there's just a different there's a different swing in there that you wouldn't before. It would have been like it would have been the exact same beat, but now you've learned how to sway in and out with the momentum of the guitar, and that's the artist.
Sure.
Like they say craftsmanship is skill without creativity, right? And that's the opposite of like an artist. You've got craftsmen and then you've got artists, right? And like, I think as a songwriter, a lot of guys, as drummers at least, are more on that craftsman side. They write a beat. Oh, there's a guitar thing there. Put a fill there. Repeat it every 4 times. And the better and better of a drummer, no matter how much their technical skill, for me at least, is the more and more they get towards that artist side, where they get more creative and they learn how to put the little subtleties in there, the swings and the nuances. And
sure. But that's not me.
You're getting there, though. You're getting there. Maybe another 20 years and you'll finally be there. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, so a lot of the drums on this Obsolete album, most of them are written by Lucas, or
still gotta play them though,
or by Scott. Whoever wrote the song basically wrote the drums, and I tried to emulate them as best I could, and would just move stuff here and there, or add in my own little thing here and there.
Still gotta play them though, bud.
So yeah,
still gotta play them.
And I hated that. Not for this specific project, but like back when I was still in. Well, technically, Australis is still a thing. But when me and Lucas were writing some Australis stuff, I remember getting in like a heated argument over him writing drum parts versus me writing drum parts. He was like, "Well, I want it to sound like this. This is the drum beat that I have in mind for this specific riff." And I was like, "Well, I don't like that you're writing my drum parts."
Right.
Now I don't give a fuck. It's so much less work for me.
I think as long as it's just the roles are defined going in, I think it should be fine either way. You know?
Yeah.
Like, if we're writing our own parts, then we're writing our own parts. Don't come to me with a pre-written part.
Right. I did not like that at first, but I've really warmed up to that idea, like 100%. If someone else wants to write the drum tracks to a song that they wrote, perfect. That gives me a nice spot to figure out where to start with, you know? Okay, you wanted a beat like this? Cool. So that makes things a lot easier for me now.
That's cool.
And that's how, so both Grand Demise and Obsolete pretty much operate in that same way. Yeah, Grand Demise, between Dan and Jay, those two write songs together, they throw ideas back and forth, and then they put impossible drum beats to play over it. And then I have to tell them, okay, you guys, I can't play that fast at 320 BPMs.
There's a lot of people laughing. We need
to slow it down a little bit.
There's a lot of people laughing right now that there's something too fast for you to even get after.
So I started learning the heel toe technique because they're starting to write stuff so fast.
No shit.
That I was like, dude, I need to figure something out that's not singles.
You ever talk to Gensler about them trick pedals?
Yeah. What do you mean, like the company trick, or like a trick? Like you mean
both.
like a fake?
But no, I mean like literally both. I'm sure there's other companies, but yeah, you downstroke, it's a hit. You upstroke, it's a hit.
That wasn't trick. That was I thought Sonar had some weird pedal like that. No, the Duelist. That's what it was called. The Duelist has 2 pedals on it, and yeah, one arm swings on the downstroke, and then the other pedal swings on your upstroke. That's a cheater pedal. Trick is just a company that makes pedals.
Mm.
But the interesting thing about Trick, their pedals don't their pedals compress a spring. It doesn't stretch a spring. So normally, when you press down a pedal, you're stretching a spring. Theirs is like an internal spring that you're squishing. Yeah. It's a little bit backwards, but I really want to try out Trick just because everything is so refined with their pedals. All the dials are labeled, so you can move it to wherever you want it to be, and you have that setting. Whereas any other pedal I've ever had has just been like this little twist thing, a little wing nut that you spin until you have, this much stretch on your spring or whatever. So Tricks are really well designed. So much so that multiple companies are stealing their designs. Basically, there's an unpronounceable one from Poland that's what all the European dudes use, and there's another guy. He's just a one-man operation. Can't think of the name of it, but I looked up his website just because you like custom build your pedals with him, and he's out like 6 months.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, but he's one guy. He builds these pedals, and they look a lot like Trick. He took a lot of aspects of the Trick pedals, but his whole thing is, I like a lot of stuff from Trick. I like a lot of stuff from this other pedal, and I like a lot of stuff from this other pedal. So he took everything that he liked from other pedals, and he made his own pedal. And now he has this line where you can basically you can also build your own custom pedal with him. So, but they're like, Jesus Christ, I don't know. For me, I would want a double pedal, obviously. It'd probably be somewhere around, after shipping and everything, from Norway or Sweden, wherever he's from, it's like probably $1,500. Whereas I might as well just get a set of Tricks for $900.
Yeah.
Or something. Put them on layaway from Sweetwater.
I'm sure there's someone here in the States doing it. Just haven't found him yet.
Well, it's Trick.
There's, but that other dude, you know what I mean? Like somebody who's doing like exactly that same idea.
Custom jobs, yeah.
Yeah, very custom, very fucking legit and blah, blah, blah. But they're just hard to find, man.
Mm-hmm.
Especially fucking in this country, because there's a lot of people making bullshit out there too. It's funny, I worked in a few different metal shops and was starting to have issues with some aspects on my kick pedals, and I looked at them and I'm like, man, these are not complicated. And I started even flirting with the idea. I was like, I bet I could like build my own custom. I wouldn't think about trying to sell them,
right?
But I was like, I bet I could do this. I bet I could. But man,
again, that's so much work.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot of nerding out on a pedal.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I was convinced I could build something to eliminate the weak points that were routine failures.
Sure.
Especially in a live scenario, in a touring scenario, because that's where I was having most of my issues, is just tearing, setting down. All of a sudden, halfway through a gig, fucking, you didn't even realize it, but one of them set screws spun out, and all of a sudden, boom, your left pedal is just stuck on the ground. You're like, oh, fuck, I already know what's going on. Let me finish this song, see if I can figure it out on one pedal now. Oh, here comes a double part.
Yep.
Try to grind it out on your right foot. Oh, man, it was so weird. And then I would just look at it, and I'm like, dude, there has to be just a way better way of doing this. Maybe a little bit harder to compact down properly, because that's what they really build those fuckers for, is like to compact down and take the least amount of space.
Sure.
And if you think about it, that's where all the failure points are. All those fucking things that are built on cheap hinges and set screws. Gotta be a better doing that. And then it's kind of like what you said, like after all the time, energy, and I'd have to buy a lot of materials and experiment with different
trial and error. Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm gonna be like $4,000 into a pair of pedals. I'll just go buy a new pair for $400. Like, fuck, dude. And then I got another 5 years before. Or I could just repair these bitches. That's what I ended up doing. I ended up just being in that metal shop going, or I could just refabricate a couple of these parts and make them a little stronger.
Pop some new bearings in and let it go.
Yeah, and I never even finished that project. But one thing I've always wanted to do is fucking build guitars.
Sure.
I see these dudes making them online, on YouTube and shit. We were talking about the woodworking stuff. It looks so easy, bro. It does.
They probably don't sound that great though. Going back to your thing about how it's, your tone doesn't come from I think your tone probably does come a lot from how your guitar is built.
I mean, definitely it does, but 90% of your tone comes from your fingertips and guitar playing. Because I can hand you the same guitar, we can play the same riff the exact same way, and it's just not gonna sound the same. You just can't.
You don't think that's more rhythm?
No, it's your fingers.
When does rhythm meet tone? Can they intermingle? I
think that's where you get like Eddie Van Halen and Jimi Hendrix. When that rhythm meets tone, like when it's their style and their cadence.
Sure. Style, yeah.
Plus like how they physically play the guitar. Because it's also in your picking hand. When we say your fingertips, it's not just that left hand. It's also the way you strum out the strings. Do you strum it softly? Do you pinch this part? Do you do all these little tiny things where I could teach you all that perfect? For example, no one can play a James Hetfield riff and sound like James Hetfield. I could literally give you James Hetfield's rig and you could play his riffs perfectly and you're just not going to sound like James Hetfield.
So you're just playing power chords?
No.
I mean...
No, he's a fucking monster.
Anybody can play Metallica tunes, right?
Not properly. Not properly. Like, you can get really fucking close. Another one is David Gilmour from Pink Floyd.
Oh, sure.
Like, go ahead. I'll give you his exact rig. Sound like David Gilmour. You still won't. Eddie Van Halen's exactly like that. Jimmy is like that. And I guarantee you there's drummers like that too. I just haven't thought about it as deeply. And I don't think there's this vast... I don't think people have done as many mushrooms and thought about this as they have guitar. Because this stems from...
Do you like doing mushrooms?
I love mushrooms.
Yeah.
They're like my favorite.
I've been working my way up to doing them again.
What does that mean?
Well, I did them once and I don't think I ate enough. But I don't smoke weed at all.
How much did you eat? And that is irrelevant.
I don't remember, but...
whether you smoke pot or not is irrelevant.
Right. So weed makes me anxious, but so it's kind of like, well, how would I be on a hallucinogen?
My advice is start. So how much did you take?
Honestly, I couldn't give you a number. It was like a couple caps and 4 stems. I don't know.
Then they were probably
that
just
has no
weak.
Meaning,
Then they were probably just weak because unless you have just like some absurd like I've seen videos online of like autistic people trying to do acid mushrooms and shit, and they have to take an absurd amount in order to fucking like actually trip, and then once they trip, they go super far. It's wild. But
I mean, I've been told that the more times that you eat mushrooms, the less you have to do. I don't know if that has any merit to...
I would not agree with that.
Like your first couple times, you have to eat more.
I would 100% disagree with that. Okay. From experience and from everything I've ever heard, I would advise the exact opposite. I'd say the first time you do it, just do like a half-eighth, because there's different phases to it, right? Like when you do a little bit, it kind of feels like being drunk a little bit. Like your legs are kind of rubbery and jelly. Like you almost kind of feel a little nauseous, but not like sick, like you're going to throw up nauseous. Just like almost like you're excited, a little nervous, almost like you're on a roller coaster type feeling. And you're fucking giggly. Everything is hilarious. Like literally somebody can look at you and you'll just start giggling, right? But you have to be around people you love and trust, because with all hallucinogens, is what it's really about, is building up your mental fortitude to always remember everything you're experiencing. It's just the drug. As soon as you start thinking it's real,
right,
that is a perfect recipe for a bad trip. So usually you don't want to trip, especially if you're new. You don't want to trip around people who aren't tripping, because if somebody looks at you, right, especially if you're giggling and acting goofy and shit,
they start messing with you.
Well, sometimes they'll just look at you because they're sober, and they'll just give you a sober look because you're kind of irritating them, and then you take that way too personally. You want to be... So like you can trip, if I'm not tripping mushrooms, you can trip around me, because I'm not going to give you any weird looks. Like I'm going to make sure to raise my eyebrows when I talk to you, so I never look like I'm judging you.
Right.
Because that'll freak a new person out, right? But regardless, it's really just making sure that you first just experience that little vibe, that giggle vibe, and then, it lasts like 3-4 hours. You come back down, you're fine. Wait a couple weeks, and then maybe do like a 1/2 plus another like 1/4 of an eighth. So I guess 3/4 of an eighth. Yeah, do like that amount. So now you're like, fuck, what would that be? You're like 2.5 grams, 2.7 grams at that point. And then same thing. And then do like an eighth. And that's where most people, that's it. Most people, especially our size, most people don't need to do more than an eighth.
That's your good amount.
Unless you have some issues. Like if you have some issues you're trying to work out, like maybe you're trying to quit smoking.
Sure.
Maybe you're trying to fix a stutter.
Well, that's probably where more like microdosing would come in, right? I know people do that.
That's like
put it in their coffee, or
that's like
put it in their morning tea.
I think there's a lot of people that can speak much better than me on microdosing, but I think when you start doing that for psilocybin, it's more to help like depression.
Sure.
I think.
Yep.
And like social anxiety
I've heard
and
that
shit
too,
like that.
Yeah.
Because you won't feel any of the shit I described if you're microdosing.
Yeah. That's the whole point.
And then you have to do a few days on and take a couple days off. Do a few days on, take a couple days off. Because if you do mushrooms every single day, you'll build up a legit tolerance to where you start need to doing more and more.
Sure.
So like that's also a big key when you're doing it is like, let's say you do like a 1/2 that's that first night, Friday night, and you have a fucking blast and you're like, dude, I'm ready. Let's do a full eighth. Let's do a full eighth. And you do it the next night. You're maybe going to get the same effect as that first initial 1/2. You got to let that shit clear out of your system for, I recommend a week or two. They say it's like 2 or 3 days, but I don't believe that. I think it takes longer than that.
Sure.
Because you will build up a tolerance, especially if you do them regularly. But
yeah, the first and only time I've done them, I had like slight visuals and that was about it. I didn't get super giggly or anything, but
yeah, I could see that potentially. But to me, that just sounds like they weren't very strong.
Sure.
And you were just starting to see some of the like extended trails, or maybe you saw like the ground was slightly breathing.
I can't think of any like weird, like the typical breathing things that people always talk about. We basically we went to a park, laid on the grass and looked at the clouds. So the clouds danced and had a little show for me.
Yeah, that's very similar to microdosing than what you did, because people will do that shit and like work. I can't do that shit though, man, because if I take a little bit, like for me, it just like I feel tired and I feel kind of ill, like, and shit just doesn't feel right. My energy's way off. It's like having 2 beers. Like I can have 1 beer and just be like done. Okay, I'll drink a water, a Mountain Dew, whatever.
Sure.
But if I have 2, I get like really tired and like kind of nauseous because I start to get like an actual buzz, and I have to drink that 3rd beer to where I'm like, all right,
get over
now.
that hump.
Now I got a real buzz and I'm good to go. Mushrooms are kind of act like that with me, like that fucking microdosing shit where you just take like 1 gram. Like, man, that's not really my vibe. Because it'll just make me tired, dude.
Sure.
And I don't really see anything like that. And I don't really do it for the visuals. I do it because I love to like close my eyes and go deep inside my own mind.
Okay.
And like I do some like weird spiritual shit, Like I'll sit here and just fucking, it looks like I'm passed out because I'll be like, but like if you go beyond a 1/2, it's because you got some shit to work out. Like you're either doing a spiritual journey, you're trying to get off drugs or fix a stutter. That's where you start getting into like a 1/4 ounce. That's what I did. I did 7 grams, dude. And I met God, bro. Like that's all I'm gonna say. Like it'll. I've heard when people do 7 grams, like people that believed in God will stop believing in God. People that don't believe in God will start believing in God. That's like when you start getting into that level, like 7 grams. And honestly, if any human goes much other than like a Mike Tyson or something, most people, if they go beyond 7 grams, no matter how big they are, most of them will just eventually pass out.
I do enjoy hearing about people having those like life-changing experiences on mushrooms though, where it's like I learned to look at life totally differently.
Yeah, it don't take much to do that.
Right.
Like, especially if it's your first time. Yeah. Probably an eighth. Maybe an eighth and a half you need to get there. I wouldn't recommend an eighth and a half for a first timer though. And if you know you're mentally tough, you can start with an eighth.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going for a fucking ride, bro. For you, it's going to be a fucking ride. Because, like, even at just an eighth for a first timer, you will start asking yourself questions you didn't know you wanted to ask.
Sure.
And you don't want answers to. You're like, it'll start crushing your ego and your sense of self to where, like, man, and it's different for everybody. Like, what they end up thinking about, and like, it's wild, dude. It's a fucking wild ride. I highly encourage it. I'm convinced 100% if every single person in this world was required by force to do mushrooms once or twice a year, we would literally have zero problems.
Sure.
Because it makes you more creative. It makes you more compassionate. Like, it increases your empathy. And it also physically, literally enhances all your senses. So, like, you really can see farther. You really can see things more clearly and sometimes in more detail. You'll notice patterns or things that you never noticed before looking at shit. Like, one night I was tripping and I looked at that sink over there and I was pissing, and all of a sudden, like, and it was kind of dark too because I was chilling in here. And I had like all these lights on, just slowly pulsing different colors. It was awesome. I had my headphones on, listening to music. It was great. And so it was really dark everywhere else. And I walked over there to go take a leak. And all of a sudden I noticed that there's like layers of stencils of letters and numbers in different colors painted into the back of my sink. And I could read all of them. Like, some of them were upside down. Some of them were inverted and backwards. And I could still read everything. And then I had to double check the next day to make sure it was still there. But sure as shit, you can just barely see them. But it was like, no, that does say this. This does say that. I was like, holy fuck. So it does really do all of those things, you know? Like, you just got to make sure that when you start thinking some weird ass shit, you just got to remember,
that,
like,
all right,
it's just a drug.
It's just the drugs. Well, let's get past this.
Like, those people over there might be whispering about me.
Yeah.
But it's because I'm on drugs.
Yeah.
It's not because they see inside of my soul. You see what that kind of shit? That's what you got to worry about. No. You're just on drugs. And you might be causing a scene, and that's why they're looking at you. So it's just like, chill. I swear to God, though, it's really that simple. So as long as you're around people you love and trust, it helps if they're also doing mushrooms. And it's not their first time, but it's not like, is what I don't recommend is acid.
Sure.
Because that shit is so unpredictable.
That just seems like a little bit too much.
And it is a different trip, too.
To have
some people love acid, though.
Just thinking about being in a different state of mind for 8+ hours already turns me off from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, however, I do think microdosing LSD is safer than microdosing psilocybin. Because I think microdosing LSD, especially if you're making it or you got it from a trusted source, like an FDA thing, you know, because some of that shit's in FDA testing right now. When you get it like in a liquid vial form, it's much easier for you to measure out exact your 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop. That's in a fucking thing. And that's X amount of milliliters of this solution. It's much easier to be super precise with it. Whereas psilocybin, when you're getting them, and maybe this will change if the FDA approves it, and there's a way you can get pure psilocybin directly from a doctor at an exact potency. But right now, you're just kind of getting them from wherever. And like some people grind them up and they do it by weight. But it's like, you don't really know how strong that is in that weight, you know. So they'll do like a capsule.
I know nothing about the actual like growing of mushrooms. But I was gonna say, like, dude, drugs nowadays are like fucking scary because people are just putting whatever the fuck, like you were talking about, you know, trying to find a legit LSD vial is like the only way to go.
That's why I won't do none of that shit.
Yeah, because I don't know if there was plenty of people overdosing on fucking like random cocaine that was around last year, I think, that people were lacing with fentanyl. Like, dude, why are people putting fentanyl in everything? Is it really that cheap?
No, I think it just
Like-
gets you that high.
But it's so dangerous.
Yeah.
Just
Isn't
the
fentanyl-
smallest amount.
Is it fentanyl or fentanyl, or is it both or something like that?
I think it's YL. So yeah, fentanyl.
I think fentanyl is a thing
fentanyl.
too, but I think what we're talking about is fentanyl.
Yeah,
But I think fentanyl is a thing as well.
fentanyl is like it's a
There's all I know.
sedative.
All I know is that
Right?
every single one of these letters means something. So like sodium pentothal, like pentothal means something. So
Well, yeah, it's their chemical makeup.
right, but like fill versus fall, I believe they're both things, but just
Sure.
those two different letters or one different letter, whether it's YL or OL, I think can dramatically changes what it is.
the actual thing. Yeah,
And I think what we're talking about is fentanyl.
yeah.
And isn't that what came after OxyContin?
I don't know.
Isn't it just like a strong? Because here's what I understood.
It's an extremely it's used in hospitals as a like when they put you like when you go under for a fucking surgery, they use fentanyl.
So here's what I thought it was, and correct me if I'm wrong. And by the way, the viewers, they're not just viewers and listeners. There are pseudo producers as well, since we don't have a Jamie over there.
And people, please fact check.
So yeah, that's what we say. We go, Jamie's, pull that up. So here, and maybe we're not even talking about the same thing. So let's just clarify this. What I believe we're talking about is, like street level heroin. People stopped shooting it up, and people would snort it for a while. And then that kind of went away like a fad because OxyContin came along, which is a synthetic heroin. It's like, I believe it's similar to methadone, but it's like straight up synthetic heroin. And people started doing that in a pill form. I think people do crush that and sniff it as well.
Probably.
And then that became like a plague all over the country. And so that when the feds cracked down on that, I believe fentanyl is just a slightly different version of that, and that's how they found the loophole around. And so now that's the new hot street drug, because it's extremely potent in very, very small doses, and they'll cut shit with it now, like cocaine. And I believe it's to either create a new type of drug or it's to increase the potency of whatever drug they put it in. Fact check that for me, Jamie's, but I think that's correct. If not, then we're talking about two totally different things.
Right.
But I might be talking about fentanyl for all I know, and you might be talking about something different. But that shit is fucking dangerous, bro.
Yep.
Like, you can die the very first time, from what I understand. I don't know why people are cutting it, though. That's what I just threw out on my theories. I don't actually know
the
why.
only thing that I can think of is that it's so potent and so strong that and it also has to be super cheap. That's the only way that I can think.
Gotta be right
of why you'd put something else into your drug, because that's the only. I mean, you cut drugs to make more of it.
That's cutting, right? So that's when you cut something, but
so if you put
lacing something is different.
Yeah,
lacing is like adding something to it. Cutting is like you said, we're
Which
going to
doesn't
decrease the purity to double the amount.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense with cocaine. Cocaine is like the opposite effects of what fentanyl should do.
That's why, dude, and that's why I'm saying I'm curious if we're even talking about the same drug. I might be thinking of fentanyl, and you might be thinking of fentanyl, or vice versa. Because one of them, I swear to God, is a derivative of that oxy shit, which is like heroin, which is a depressant and a downer. So yeah, why would you mix that with heroin or with coke?
Right.
Unless you're trying to make a new style drug that brings you both up and down. But that's where you get into what I think is lacing. That's not cutting shit. You're not cutting coke with fentanyl. You're lacing it with fentanyl.
Right, because it's such a small amount that they're adding.
Unless they're trying to increase the addiction.
Maybe.
So you have to come back to that dealer to get that kind of high again.
Yeah, who knows?
Because nobody else's coke will do it for you if it's that addictive. Yeah. I don't know. Jamie's looked that up. Let us know.
Yeah, but that shit's scary. So I mean, like, you know, a lot of the drugs that I had a short drug list of things that I wanted to do. Most of those are no longer on that list anymore. Just because of shit like that.
What was the list?
Mushrooms, cocaine, acid, a little bit maybe. And opium. For whatever reason, I wanted to try opium.
all of those are still fine to this day if you can get them from a trusted source.
Right.
Like,
so that's the problem.
I'm
though.
surprised you
gotta,
didn't do any in Puerto Rico, because when you're that close to Cuba, it's fucking really easy to get really good coke down there.
we didn't really hang out with anybody down there, really. Fajardo isn't like a party city. We weren't in San Juan, maybe if we were in San Juan, but Fajardo is just like a small town right on the beach. So
I thought I had done blow twice in my life. I've still only done blow twice in my life. But once I did blow twice in my life, I realized the first 2 times I did meth.
Yeah.
Because we don't have cocaine in Minnesota.
Right.
Like, we don't. I'm sorry. You're not. I don't care how pure someone says it is.
I think I've done really good coke once. And it was like scary. I've never been that high off coke ever. And I've done coke maybe less than 10 times.
Just that one, it was scary. Just that one line reminds me of the first 2 times I did it, where I know, looking back, I'm like, no, I basically did meth.
Sure. And that may have been the same thing, but I've never done meth that I know of.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Because when I did blow down in fucking... And I also heard blow's different too, right? So I'm a pretty high energy dude. You're a pretty chill dude, right? Mm-hmm. So when I did real blow down in Jamaica, I was super chill and laid back. Just like, fuck 'em.
Interesting.
Like, I talked a lot, but I didn't talk fast like a cokehead. It was like this kind of speed, and I was like, fuck it. But I would just kind of like just keep chilling, talking, like, fuck yeah. Like, almost like Matthew, like, all right. Like that kind of vibe.
Sure.
For you, it might do the opposite, though. Mm. Drugs, and that's the thing, is drugs behave differently with everyone. Most of them are very unpredictable. I know people that have lost their shit on weed and edibles.
Sure.
Like, if I fucking eat edibles and then drink a beer, dude, I'm like, it's like that scene from Wolf of Wall Street when they ate the Quaaludes, where they're like drooling, crawling across the floor. That's what it's like for me if I eat. I don't know how many milligrams I need to get there, but 1 beer. So X amount of milligrams plus 1 beer, and you have me in that scene from Wolf of Wall Street, just drooling, can't walk, can't talk.
Yeah, that combination would just put me to sleep, like right away. I've been there.
I love mushrooms, dude. I honestly think the world would have zero issue still to this day if we all, especially because I don't want everyone to have a choice. Like, no, you need to do this like once or twice a year, because it's the people who refuse to do any drugs, right? The people that need to be in 100% control all the time. Those are the people that freak me out. Mm-hmm. Like, somebody that is so terrified of just letting go for a moment. Those are the people that scare me. Those are the people that I think cause a lot of issues. And those are also the people that I don't actually want in power. Because, man, once you do some mushrooms and you get to the right level for each person, and the dosage changes based on your body weight, your mental strength, and how many times you've done it, I'm telling you, bro, you'll come back. When you do this, you'll call me one day, you'll text me, and you'll be like, dude, you're totally right. Like, that's 100% true. Nope. If everybody just did this like once a year, twice a year, yep, all the problems would be solved. Because like you'll fucking all of a sudden be tripping, and you'll like solve a problem you didn't even know you had. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it'll be like a mechanical issue, like some weird thing that you've been trying to think, in the back of your mind for 2 years, you've been thinking about with your car or your truck. And all of a sudden you'll just be sitting there tripping, and all of a sudden you'll go, boom, you'll go, oh my God, I know exactly what I'm going to do. Because you can just see everything. Like, it's the fucking coolest shit. And then it'll work. It'll be real. I'm convinced a lot of good things have happened in this world from motherfuckers tripping mushrooms. From like Tesla doing shit to Einstein to fucking the founding of the country. Lots of inventions. I think a lot of religion. Mm-hmm. Motherfuckers were tripping balls. It's like, you trip enough mushrooms and you'll start rethinking. If you're like a hardcore atheist, you trip enough mushrooms and you'll be like, all right, maybe there is something to this fucking whole God thing. Like, I'm not saying you're going to go like back to church the next day, but I think
it definitely makes people rethink just existence in general. Just like, there's more than just the earth and outer space and just our universe, I don't know.
I think so. Especially when you get into like some of that crazy ancient texts in religions and shit, where you're like, you read it and you're like, what the fuck are they talking about? You take some mushrooms, you're like, I know exactly what they're talking about, bro. And like, it's weird because I swear to God, a lot of that shit is lining up with like what they're getting into with quantum physics and a lot of these other theories. Depending on how you read some of that old shit, depending on how you understand some of these quantum theories and which ones you believe, because these quantum theories are almost like religions, right? Like whether it's many worlds or any of the other ones, a lot of them are mutually exclusive to one another. If this one's true, that one can't be true. It's kind of like religion, and I kind of laugh at it because they're speaking about these highly theoretical things that they have absolutely no ability to actually prove. It's all theoretical, and not even theoretical like gravity is, because that's obvious and real. It's theoretical as in like there's mathematical formulas that show it's probably true, but there's no way of, we have no way of measuring it. We have no actual devices to prove it yet. I'm sure we'll get there eventually. But a lot of their theories in each one of these, like kind of all of them, are already in most ancient religions, like ancient Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, shit like that. It's like, here's where all of those ideas aren't mutually exclusive. Just get rid of the math and study some of these fucking religious ideas from 20,000 years ago. And that's what blows my mind, dude. That's why I keep doing them. It's because I'm telling you, man, there's something to it, dude. I swear I met God last time. And it's not what people think, that's for sure. I don't want to spend the podcast talking about my religious experience, but pretty much every religion has it very wrong.
Sure.
But every religion also has like a couple slivers of truth. Pretty fucking wild, dude. Yeah, so let me know if you want to do some. I can probably find someone who can.
Oh, I have someone
help you. All right, we'll do them.
It's available to me.
So what's holding you back? You said you're working up to it.
I don't know. Timing.
Fear.
Little
bitch.
Fear of just freaking the fuck out. No, I don't know.
Just start small, dude. Start with a half eighth. Make sure, I would not advise doing them alone your first time or with somebody who's sober your first time. I'd recommend finding somebody that you trust.
Yeah, I'd probably just do them with my partner, Tanya. She's done them a million fucking times. So.
Your partner, Tanya?
Partner.
Your wife?
Wife.
How long have you been married now, by the way?
I don't know.
You got married way before I did.
Yeah,
you got married young. How old were you?
Probably.
How old were you when you got married?
I don't know. I want to say it was like 6 years ago.
Seemed longer than that.
Like 6 or 7 years ago. I don't think it's been. It's somewhere in there. I couldn't even tell you the date. I'm that guy.
That's super weird, dude. I'm not gonna lie. You can't remember how old you were or the wedding date.
No, I remember it was on.
I just can't wait.
A Wednesday.
I just can't. Everyone in their heart watching right now knows how weird this is, but since I'm confronting you on how weird it is, I can literally hear all of their brains ticking, trying to figure out a way to spin this into like defending you that it's not weird, that you don't know your own wedding date or how old you were when you got married.
Well, I think it's because it was so spontaneous when we did it. It was
fair.
It was basically we'd talked about it multiple times. Then one day Tanya was just like, "Hey, what are you doing next Wednesday on both of our day off? You want to go to the courthouse and get fucking married? Sure, let's do it." That's what it was. So, or no, it wasn't even.
We're gonna figure this out.
We didn't get married at the courthouse, but we got married in my dining room by a friend of ours.
Who was an ordained minister.
Yeah.
And then just went and submitted it at the courts.
Right. Yeah. Then he submitted everything. And then we went to Lake Nokomis and drank champagne, and that was it. That was my wedding day. It was super chill. So that's
dope.
So that's why it's like it's memorable, but I should remember the date, but I don't.
So you went to Lake Nokomis and drank champagne, so it was in the summer.
Yep.
Okay. What band were you in?
It was probably
What band were you in at the
I was
time?
in Ambassador Gun at the time.
Okay, see, we're narrowing it down, folks. We're going to figure this out. Okay.
I know the numbers mathematically work. So like 7 plus 2 is 9 type of thing. So 7 is what, July?
Yeah.
July 29th. Does that make sense?
Okay. Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, that is in the middle of the summer. Was it? Did you get married before you went on a tour or after you got off of a tour?
Oh, I'm sure my touring days were done by then.
You think?
Yeah,
but you were still in Ambassador Gun?
Because our witnesses were Tim and Brittany, and they were only together for maybe a year or two.
Okay.
And that was at the end of Ambassador Gun.
That was at the end of Ambassador Gun.
Yeah.
So when did Ambassador Gun end?
I don't remember. It's not important.
I'm trying, folks.
Do you want
I'm trying really fucking hard.
Do you want to play some more of my band's music so I can take a potty break?
Hold on, I gotta fix this fucking camera. I have this bad habit of like leaning way forward.
I just got comfortable.
Well, now I'm like diving at you.
I can't.
It looks like I'm like
I can't sit up
you.
like that for
let's
an extended amount of time.
Let's cue up another tune. So this is. Let's do the tune.
Okay.
It's track 7. Which one was that again? I already have it ready. You just got to tell me what it's called.
The Fog.
The Fog.
This is Obsolete again. This album comes out on Friday on Unspeakable Acts Records. All the shit's in the description.
Yeah, we did put the links in there. I think we said Bandcamp, right? That's where we put everyone.
It's on the Unspeakable Acts Bandcamp page. That's where the pre-order is and everything.
Okay, so and that's the link we put in the description. Yeah. So literally, it's weird, dude. I feel like we look shorter all of a sudden. Both of us like suddenly look short. Neither one of us are short guys, but I don't know, dude. Whatever. But yeah, basically, long story short, if you're listening to this on audio, when does it come out? This Friday?
Yeah.
So tomorrow?
Yeah.
So if you're listening on audio, it's already out. But for the current viewers that are watching live, this is a track off of that album, which will be available tomorrow.
Correct.
And it's already available for pre-order tonight. And that link is in the description. So if you're digging what you're hearing, you can literally open that in another browser and show some love and pre-order their album right now. And it'll be literally available tomorrow.
Cool.
Because we are actually live.
Okay.
All right, we'll mute it up, play this motherfucker, and we'll be back after we... and make sure you guys throw your comments and questions and shit in there, because when we get back from this piss break, we'll dive into some questions, too. Here we go. All right, and that was The Fog.
Yeah.
That's a dope ass song, dude.
Yeah.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like it's as heavy as some of the other shit you've done in the past. I think that's why I like it more.
Sure.
No offense to the other shit, but like I have a threshold for heaviness.
I mean, I don't think that this band wasn't. We don't really write riffs to be heavy. We write riffs to make
Fucking
riffs.
rock, man. It's just fucking rock. All right, so we got some questions and some comments. So I believe everything I said was technically correct, but I kept saying heroin, and I believe it's morphine because that's sort of what was checked in here.
When we were talking about fentanyl. Yeah.
But because I think that's what oxy is. I think it's synthetic morphine. I believe.
Sure.
I think. Jamie's looked that
I
up.
don't know.
We got time to get to it. I want to read this out loud because I think this is a fucking hilarious comment in the live chat. Danielle D says, I just feel the need to share the most perfect description of LaCroix, Wisconsin that I've ever heard. Quote, LaCroix tastes like someone ate a fruit salad and then burped it into your water bottle. I don't really get it because but I love that comment.
A hint of flavor.
Is that what that means?
Little burp of flavor.
Oh
She's
my
not
God.
talking about LaCroix, Wisconsin. She's talking about the LaCroix.
Is that what she's talking about?
LaCroix. What she's thinking about.
Don't talk shit about my mango LaCroix.
I saw Kyle Skogquist in the chat earlier. Sorry, I
Shout
missed you,
out to Kyle Skogquist.
You're still here. Hi.
He just says,
Long time no see.
Warehouse Stairs in Lacrosse is the. That's why I thought
Yeah,
we were
that's
talking
what-
about the town, is because
Oh,
we're
okay.
talking about Lacrosse, talking
Yeah,
about
that,
LaCroix.
when we were, when you wanted to, that was the other staircase that I brought up. Is the one at the warehouse. Yeah, those
The
stairs.
worst. That one's worse than the What's Up, huh?
Suck. I don't know, because the ones at the warehouse, it is just a straight shot, so it's not too bad. But it's a lot of stairs. It feels like it feels like 2 stories worth of stairs.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Greg Chilton on the Ritual Madness podcast.
What's up, Greg?
He says you're on the pot. Maybe, maybe not. I can neither confirm nor deny these suspicions, nor will I, even if I could. Yeah, he's the one who clears up fentanyl. It's powerful synthetic opioid, and I think that's where I got it mixed up with heroin, because I think heroin's technically an opioid as well. I'm pretty sure it
I
is.
think heroin's just heroin.
Yeah, but it comes from a poppy plant. It comes from a poppy plant,
Yeah.
and poppies are opioids.
You ever watch that show Into the Badlands?
I think so.
There's a show about poppy fields.
Yeah, and wasn't it like, it seemed like post-apocalyptic, but
Yeah.
almost in the past?
It was kind of weird.
Like, dude,
Yeah, 'cause it's like-
somebody was like named a baron.
Yeah. So it's all the barons, but like people fought with swords, but it's like kind of futuristic, but kind of in the past.
It was like in the future, but they had already run out of bullets.
Yeah, I guess.
You know what I mean?
It was a cool show.
It was like post-apocalypse in the future, but they had already run out of bullets, so they were back to fighting with swords.
And they're like, well, let's just use swords.
And they didn't have enough technology.
Were there also guns in that show though?
I think
can't remember.
I don't fucking remember. That was a
remember
dumb
either.
show. I
liked
just
it.
remember not liking it. I loved it at first, and then I just remember finding so many problems with the world. Like it felt like it was almost steampunk.
I made fun of that show because no matter what, nobody died.
Do you remember the ridiculous sword fighting too?
Yeah.
Like spinning.
I mean, that was
almost
cool.
like it was almost like
It's super over the top and kind of cheesy, but
yeah,
it's fun.
it was campy. That's what it
Yeah.
was. It was campy because it was kind of funny.
The fight scenes are fun. The clothing is like fantastic. The show looks really cool. But yeah, I could like predict people like, oh, see that guy that just like died and went to the afterlife? Yeah, he's not really dead. They're gonna bring him back. Next episode, he's like wakes up from his fucking death. Like, told you, he's not
That's
dead.
hilarious.
They can't kill that guy off.
That is fucking hilarious. Let's see. There was one more question in here, I swear, somewhere.
I just saw Pat is correct. Yeah, I'm always correct. I don't know what we were talking
I
about.
know. And that's
Talking about that can on your table. Yeah.
about the LaCroix.
Yeah, LaCroix.
You know what? I'm gonna have to report that comment. I take that as a personal attack. I feel personally attacked. I'm not gonna report your comment. I'm just joking. Yes. So by the way, I think this is what I was trying to describe is that fentanyl shit. But again, why are they cutting it into coke?
Yeah, why are they putting opposite drugs into
Yeah, because it's an opioid
into each other?
Yeah, so I guess the question and what we were trying to figure out is kind of irrelevant because the real question is why are they putting it into coke? And are we even correct? Is that what they're cutting into coke? Or are we just conflating two different things?
No, there's tests out there that test for fentanyl. And I know that for a while, I think it was last year, I remember seeing like people on social media being like, yo, bring your coke in to get tested, like, or get the test strips to test it for fentanyl.
That is so fucking weird, dude.
Before you snort that shit.
That is so fucking weird. Ritual Madness, Greg says, DMT. I want to do some fucking DMT so bad. It's one of the only drugs I haven't done that I want to do. There's very few drugs that I actually wanted to ever do.
DMT is the frog juice, right?
So from what I know, DMT can be extracted and made from almost anything. I'm sure there's some frog that secretes it.
Yeah, but like the synthetic form of DMT, I think is whatever the chemical makeup is in these frogs that are in like the Arizona desert or something like that.
I'm sure it's possible. I just know you can make DMT from like tree bark, from grass, like literally grass. Like it's in almost everything. It's more about like how you get it out. But that's only like 20 minutes, bro.
20 minutes of a trip, you mean?
Yeah, but it feels like a full 4 to 6, 8 hours.
Oh, I thought it was deeper than that. I don't know though. I've never done DMT.
So, from what I understand, there's 3 phases to it, right? You can do like one hit, and like the fucking the edges on everything kind of just get rounded off, right? And maybe you feel a little giggly. That's debatable, right? I hear people like, nah, man, you just like kind of get a little visuals. But if you do 2 big hits, it kind of feels like you're strapped onto the front of a rocket.
Sure.
And you're just fucking like, and that's lifting off. But then you got to do like a 3rd big hit.
While you're lifting off, you have to like compose yourself, take
you
another
get a
hit,
couple
and
minutes.
Then...
So like the way it was described to me is you do it like this. You go like, so by the time you get that 3rd one done, you've already kind of like,
sure.
Rogan says, no, you just fucking like, he kind of like hyperventilates himself and just takes one monster fucking hit. So he gets all 3 at once. Whatever. But there's just basically amounts. And once you go past lifting off, they call that blasting off, or like going to the other place or whatever. And like apparently you go to the DMT realm and there's a bunch of shit. I mean a bunch of shit, dude, that people talk about. Sure. And I've never done it, so I don't really know. I've heard about the machine elves. I've heard about all kinds of crazy shit, dude.
Machine elves?
Yeah, that's what everybody tries to describe them as, because they're like, they kind of look like elves, but they're like mechanical. They're like made of machines. And like, I don't know, man.
Weird.
I got to do it though, because it's completely harmless. And I know a dude, I don't think he wants me to drop his name on here, but I know a dude personally who quit heroin from doing DMT. Yeah. He quit doing heroin, saw the face of God, quit doing it. The next day went to church. He's been sober ever since.
Well, except for his DMT habit he is now.
It's not really a habit thing, you know? You just kind of do it every once in a while. And it's only 20 minutes.
Adam D.
Oh my God, he's back with this Mr. Shit.
Thanks for the
Adam, you son of a bitch.
Thanks for the kind words. So the 2 hi-hats that I use, I've been doing that for maybe, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years. I added one to my right side just as more of a convenience. Instead of like moving from hi-hat to ride, I wanted to be able to get that.
Whoops.
I wanted to be able to still use that hi-hat, or having a hi-hat easily accessible when I would be maybe like grinding on the ride, rather than switching all the way over to the left side of my kit. It was just right there, and then it gave me, you know, different options. So I would put 2 very different sounding hi-hats, and then I could have, you know, here's my bright ones, here's my dark ones. So to answer your question. Mess around with it every once in a while. Usually every 3 or 4 years, I'll do something really drastic with my drum kit. I'll be like, all right, I'm going to take this tom completely out and move it behind me. Or I'll add 2 chinas or take away a cymbal. Like I did that when I first started playing with Grand Demise. I didn't really have another drum set to bring down to the studio, so I was using a drum set that wasn't mine. So all of a sudden I was using one less tom, like no china, using a totally different setup. It was more just like a basic 5-piece kit setup. And then I was like, okay, like this doesn't feel like I'm kind of out of my element. I need to bring some of the things in that I would normally use on my other kit to this kit. And then I brought in the extra hi-hat that I had on my other kit, and then added the other tom. And then eventually it was just like it came to a point where I was like, all right, for Grand Demise, I'm kicking this fucking 5-piece kit to the wayside and just bringing in the kit that I'm more comfortable with, which is a 6-piece kit.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope.
Drums.
I think it's hilarious how every single drummer will go from whatever they have to eventually an extremely elaborate kit, and then strip it back down because they get sick of doing it.
I did that with Ambassador
setting
Gun.
up and tearing down.
Yeah, I did that with Ambassador Gun because I was like, oh, these are fucking grind songs with punk elements. Like, I don't need the massive kit that I had been using.
Yeah.
So I purposely went down to a 3-piece kit, just a rack tom and a floor tom, and then
you call that a 3-piece?
Yeah.
I love this debate. So you don't count the snare?
No. The snare's always going to be there. No one has a kit that's snareless.
Right. But some people count it though, so that's a 4-piece to them.
Sure.
So when I tell people I play a 3-piece, they're like, "Wow, 1 tom, huh?" I'm like, "No, I have 2 toms," and they're like, "So you play a 4-piece?" I'm like, "Oh my god, you're one of those guys." Okay, yeah, I play 4-piece, and then I start saying 4-piece, and then people.
Well,
are
I guess I did mix them up then, because when I was saying 5-piece, I meant tom, 2 rack toms, a floor tom, bass.
And a snare.
That's
so
5,
you are
right?
counting the snare when you say 5-piece.
I guess I am counting the snare when I say 5-piece.
Okay.
So yeah, so I meant I was playing a 4-piece.
Gotcha.
And
I didn't mean to like get you in a gotcha moment there.
You got me though.
I think it's hilarious though, because that is a serious debate, and the only reason I even brought it up is because guys start on, usually in this case would be a 5-piece,
right?
And then they build up. And it gets so fucking annoying and elaborate. They got cymbals and stands, and they go on tour, and then they strip it down. They usually end up with what we're now going to call a 4-piece, which is they're like, I don't need that other tom. I can fucking move around quick enough. They'll ditch the second kick drum. Just give me a double pedal just for the ease of moving it. But then after a while, we all end up adding at least one more drum back in that motherfucker. Yep. Like, we can't resist, man. Like, every single one of us will be like, I just need one more drum though. And it's usually over to the left, isn't it?
Yeah. Because I mean, like, watching other drummers play their kits as well is like, ooh, like that's really cool. Like watching I've been watching a lot of John Longstreth lately from Origin. He's got another floor tom on his left. And I'm always like, there's zero room in my current studio to put that in there. But I'm always like,
what could I do with that?
Add that other tom over there and maybe fuck around. So yeah, I'm definitely getting the itch again of like, I need to drastically change something, add something, take something away. So
it'd be so much easier to do certain fills if you just had another floor tom right here, even if it matched that one, because you could just like switch so many things up where you could end or start your fill with either hand that you normally couldn't if you're always trying to move. Like, it's almost like what Adam also brought up. You have the second hi-hat. Is that a cabled hi-hat, or does it just remain open?
It's just always open.
Interesting.
So and I guess I've used that always open hi-hat for a long time, even back in Solace and Ashes, because my kit in Solace and Ashes had 3 hi-hats.
I fucking remember that.
So I had one hi-hat.
2 on this side,
yeah,
right?
I had 2 that would kind of like overlap each other. One stayed closed constantly, and I used it in like one song, but it had to be there. It was stupid. And then one that I could move, like just your typical
normal hi-hat,
one, and then the one that was in between my rack tom and my floor tom. That one always remained open. So I've gone back to using that again. So yeah, I guess for a while I took that away and I didn't use it for a long time, and then I brought that back, and now I think that's just going to like remain a staple for my setup.
You had a pretty normal kit in Solace and Ashes, but it was
big.
so efficient the way you had it racked up.
Yeah.
To where literally, dude, I remember it was hilarious how fast we could set that motherfucker up and tear it down.
We got really good at that, yeah. Well, the majority of it was attached to the rack.
Yep.
You know, and then I think the toms were attached to the bass drums. I don't think they were actually attached on the rack. I could be wrong, but I think the toms were on the bass drum, like coming out off the bass drum post.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
And I had 2 bass drums.
Especially if it's that Pearl Export kit, because I think both had their own things.
Yeah.
So there was 2 that popped out of there.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, we only had to bring up the 2 bass drums, 1 hi-hat, and then the rack. Everything else was attached to it.
Except your snare.
Well, yeah, and then the snare throwing pedals. Yeah, it was. But
it was still fast.
It was very
so
quick,
fucking quick, dude. Because I remember it was like you would grab your kick pedals, your snare, and your throne.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how you would pull that off, but you'd grab those 3 things.
Well, we also
and you'd walk off, and then I'd grab your kick drum from the front side and pull it under, and then literally we'd set everything down, and you and I would walk up. Grab your entire rack, walk it off, fold it up, and you'd be done.
Mm-hmm.
You'd take your cymbals off. Actually, we didn't fold it up right away. You take your cymbals off, and then we folded it up. But it was like, it took you and I like literally a minute or 2 to get your shit off stage tops.
Yeah, we were always the first done, and guitar players and bass players were still wrapping up chords.
Trying to get pussy, fucking dicks. No, I'm just kidding. It was only because I was the singer, so I just helped you out. You had the most gear, the hardest shit.
Bands that are not metal.
I got a secret one. I want to see if this is still something for you. Go ahead, because I want to. If you don't say it, I'm busting you out on it right now. Not metal.
So, a band that I've been listening to that's not metal, but is kind of still related to metal because they have members that are in a metal band.
Nope. First answer his question. Inspired you to play the music you do. Okay. So what bands inspired you to do the music that you do? But are there any that are not metal? So we'll get to shit you're listening to now.
Ugh, I haven't thought about influences in a long time. I guess the first few bands that got me into like heavier music would have been like Zayo and Living Sacrifice, which is pretty surprising because I didn't really get into like death metal until quite a few years later. So it's kind of funny that I was listening to Living Sacrifice before all that.
What about Enya?
Enya, yep. Enya,
that's real.
Enya, I used to have 2 Enya CDs in my car.
It was a guilty pleasure for you.
Oh, yeah.
For a long time.
I loved Enya.
You still into that?
I haven't listened to Enya in a while.
You listen to any pop music? Is there anything soft and like bitch ass music from back in the day that you actually liked?
I'd have to think about it. Put me on the spot. I don't know.
For me, a big one that now is I'm a huge fan of, but hated as a kid, got into when I was in Solace and Ashes, is actually Elton John.
Okay.
I remember me, you, and Nick Vukolich played this backyard bash. And
it's like our first show.
Our first or second show. I made us play something a little bit more low key. And some guys like, so what? You guys are fucking brutal heavy. What kind of music do you guys listen to? And with zero prompting, I went, I'm a huge Elton John fan. And you go, Enya. And all of a sudden, Nick Vukolich goes, I really like Kelly Clarkson.
That's no joke.
And he thought we were fucking with him. Do you remember? He kind of got pissed at us. Like, he got a little pissy with us. And we had to be like, no, dude, we're like serious. And he's like, you got to be shitting me. And then he's like, so do you even like metal then? And we were like, yeah, of course. And then listed off all the metal bands. And he's like, but he couldn't get over Nick's Kelly Clarkson and my Elton John. It's like he didn't even hear you see Enya. Either that or it was also his guilty pleasure. So he ignored that. But like, it's like fucking Elton John and Kelly Clarkson. I'd have never thought it. And that's legit, man. That's legit. What about shit you are listening to right now?
So yeah, something I am listening to that I can't stop talking about is Corpo Mente. But Corpo Mente is it's got a couple of members of the band Igor. Have you seen the videos of Igor?
No.
Igorrr.
No. Igor.
So there's a bunch of these. It's just like these really wild fucking French musicians.
Somebody,
super...
Jamie's. Somebody find a good Igor link and throw it in the fucking chat. I'll see it if I can figure out how to pull it up.
I'll show you one later too, or right now, whatever. They have a song that they Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse does vocals on it.
It's Egorrr.
3 R's, yeah.
All right, Jamie's. Look, give me a good clip.
So yeah, Igor is like the band that they're kind of famously known for, but Corporal Mente is this super like low key, like really chill music. And as far as I know, the lyrics are completely made up. Like they, they wrote their own language.
I bet we can't play it. We'll probably get flagged, even if it's on YouTube.
I mean, that's your deal. I don't know how that.
Yeah, I don't
works,
think we can play it. Never mind, Jamie's. Never mind.
But anyway, Corporal Mente.
I wish we could plug it. Man, I wish there's a way we could get away with that kind of shit. That sucks.
Just sort of popping up my Spotify recently listened to. There's another one too that Michael Ackerfeld recommended to me.
Who the fuck is Michael Ackerfeld?
He's the like vocalist and songwriter for Opeth.
Oh, really?
He didn't recommend it to me personally, but I don't know, some fucking classic rock.
I never would have guessed.
70s.
I never would have guessed that's the dude's name from Opeth.
Michael Ackerfeld?
Yeah. I never would have guessed.
No?
Mikael? If you would have made me guess, that would have been the last band I would have thought of.
Oh.
Like that would have never crossed my mind.
Did you ever listen to that band? You like Opeth?
I have a lot of respect for Opeth
Sure.
and like what they do musically, but like as far as whether it's catchy and do I want to listen to it, no.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
No. Like at all. Like I will even go to an Opeth concert.
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody had a ticket and they're like, dude, you want to go see Opeth? I'll be like, fuck yeah, I want to go see Opeth. But I'm not gonna like listen to it in my car. They're never gonna scratch a musical itch for me.
Sure.
It's more for me, it's more about seeing them live specifically, because I've seen them live once and it's impressive. Like even though they're boring as shit and they just stand there, like the whole thing was very powerful.
Sure.
Very powerful. And it's very hard to walk out of there without understanding you saw something very special.
I have a dog now, apparently.
That's my dog. Peanut, you cheating whore. She's finally fed up. She's like, wow. I'm on the podcast now.
Yep.
For the viewers, she's staring at me into my soul right now. She's mad about something. I don't know what it is, but she's mad. For the listeners, I apologize for that silence. What do you need? What? What?
Well, she's just getting comfy. Moving her feet. Oh, yeah.
What do you want, Peanut? This is ridiculous. I gotta switch this cam so people can see this. This is... She won't take her ass. What do you want? What do you mean, what? No, I'm not jealous. I'm having a whole conversation with my dog right now, just based on her facial expressions. Peanut, this is very invasive. You're not even supposed to be down here. How did you even get down here? Look how smoky it is in here.
He's been down here.
Peanut. She is cute, though. She's getting old as fuck, man. She's like 11 years old now.
Damn.
Or about to be 11? I don't know. I got to do some math. She's either about to be 11 or she's about to be 12 on July 25th. No. Yeah, July 25th. Yep. I fucking love that dog. She's at 21 puppies. 21 fucking dogs, bro. That's a lot of fucking dogs. So other than Obsolete, what have you been up to lately, man?
Still jamming with Grand Demise.
That was one of the questions I forgot to read. Yes.
Yes, I am still jamming with Grand Demise. We're pretty much, since lockdown and everything, we've just been like writing a new album. So we've got, I don't know, our last album was a little over an hour. I think it was a little over an hour of music. Dude, and this one will be probably the same. This is a Google Pixel.
So you got an 1/8 inch?
I've got the D.
So does it have a headphone jack?
No, it does not.
God damn it. Motherfuckers always getting complicated with shit. You got the like USB-C or whatever?
Yeah, whatever the fancy new one is.
Fuck. Well, turn that down just in case it's coming through the thing. Your phone. Turn that down.
I honestly didn't. Sorry.
That's hilarious. I was gonna try to plug it in. Like, if you're gonna listen to that, let's just plug it in here.
I thought that was just background music that you were playing.
No, that was still your phone.
I was like, oh, he's finally put on some background music. My bad.
No, we could. Technically, we could if we really wanted to. That's what Discord is for, and they can't hear this. This is just for us. And I even fucking went and bought an extra one of those. I think they call this a dongle.
Sure.
Oh, fuck, man. Yeah, you guys got any more questions? Otherwise, we're gonna fucking play a couple more tunes. We've been going 2 hours now, so yeah, let's play a couple more tunes. Yo, bro, you like comedy? We're gonna play a tune. We'll be back in a minute. Throw some more questions in here. What one is this called? Or do you want to do the other video first? Let's do the other video.
Okay.
This is another playthrough.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you remember which one this is?
Well, we saw. So this one should be the slew. It'll say.
I don't know if it will, the way I have it queued up.
Oh.
We'll find out, though.
I'm pretty sure it's the slew.
The Slough?
The Slough.
Yep, there we go.
Next!
Because I was like hyped up. That's why
Next!
That's why I went next, because it was like I did that in one take. Perfect.
I love
Next song, let's do it.
I hope they leave that on the record.
It's not.
I hope to God
it's not.
remix it,
Pick that up.
motherfuckers. Put it back on the record. I want to hear that in there. I did that on every Tyrant song just to piss off Kevin, because I knew how much. The first time it was organic,
Mhm.
and then he got so mad. We did it in every song, like just to piss him off. So our little 3-song demo,
Mhm.
I say or scream something somewhere in the song just to piss Kevin
Oh,
off.
like right in the middle of the song?
Or at the end or the beginning. I don't think I did anything in the middle,
Oh, okay.
but I think I would do it in like during the outro, so he couldn't edit it out, or I'd do it in the outro so he would have to really go in and find it,
Mhm.
and then like try to figure out how to cover it up, because I once I knew the take was good, I'd refuse to redo it. So it's like, you're fucked. But that's just because he's my best friend, and he always used to get off pissing me off. So that was my like years of retribution, because forever he has to listen. Anytime he goes back and listens to those songs for 40
He's
years,
gotta
he
hear this.
has to listen to me irritate him one more time.
Super annoying. The Mars Volta comment. I've heard a little bit of Mars Volta, but I never really got like super into them. I accidentally like stumbled onto that band rehearsing at one of my old studios. This is a super weird just like thing that happened. They had rented out like the main room of Profile Studio, and we just happened to be there jamming one night, and we kind of walked by and we are like, oh, there's like a band playing like in the big like wedding room. What the fuck is going on? And turned out that it was the Mars Volta just like jamming their songs before they were gonna play a fucking, I don't know, stadium or something. So it was super weird to just get that sort of behind the scenes look at the Mars Volta. And we stood there and watched them for like 15 minutes because it was super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that's definitely a band that I should probably re-look into checking out. I don't know.
Dude.
Because their musicianship was fantastic when I was watching them, when I remember that.
So we're kind of talking about non-metal bands,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about mushrooms. Bro, I don't know how. Well, I know exactly how.
Mushroom Head. That's where this is going?
No. Nah. But dude, when you do mushrooms, fucking listen to the Muse.
The Muse?
Not the Muse, but Muse.
The band Muse?
Muse. Yeah, listen to Muse. That shit blew my fucking mind, dude. I was like, oh man, these guys are great. Like,
They're like a top 40 pop band, aren't they?
yeah, but they're really fucking, like, the breadth of where they go
Sure.
in songs, it's just perfect for tripping mushrooms.
Okay.
Because, like, I would highly advise against listening to brutal metal while tripping mushrooms. You can. I've done it, and it's kind of amazing, but don't.
Sure.
Listen to something gentler. Something
One of the first times I ever got a massage. So
more positive.
Yeah, one of the first times I ever got a massage, the massage therapist was like, because it was just like they were like training to be a masseuse. They were just kind of like going to friends' houses and like giving out massages or whatever, like doing it for like dirt cheap, right? And they were like, yeah, just put on some music that whatever like you think will be chill.
Relaxing.
They're you know they were probably expecting Enya, but I just put on like, I don't know, it's fucking Necrophagist or something. So they were like, oh, this was an interesting choice. Like, I don't know, it's relaxing to me.
Yeah, it's like a Swedish massage for my brain. I think we should, because this live chat will be up there if you go back and watch this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just go to the end, you can just see all the comments because they come back in.
Sure.
So if you go to the beginning, nothing will be there until people put them in real time or whatever. But long story short, what I'm saying, I think we should recommend bands or albums for Pat to listen to while he's tripping mushrooms for the first time, because he's going to have about 3 or 4 hours. And that's the ride up and down.
There you go.
I think we should recommend. So another one I think is
Pink Floyd. Wish You Were Here.
That's, you could totally do that, or The Wall. Those are
Yeah, Wish You Were Here is like my go-to Pink Floyd album.
Dark Side of the Moon would probably be better for a mushroom trip, just because it's more, I don't know, designed for it, I guess you could say. Like The Wall, you could do mushrooms and watch The Wall.
Did you ever do the Wizard of Oz mashup.
Yeah, not on mushrooms though.
Yeah.
Not on mushrooms, but I have watched that. And it's cool. I mean, it's its own thing. I think I got stoned and did it.
Sure. I think I did. I think I was the same with my like high school friends. I remember we did it one night, and it was kind of disappointing because it was like I feel like I was expecting it like every single thing was supposed to match up with the movie, and it was like, oh, I mean, like that kind of matched up, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cooler. When,
it was kind of fun. Though.
It's cooler when you're stoned for sure. But I bet you it would be way cooler if you were on mushrooms, just because, like, or even on acid, just because the music will take you to one place, and if that's your only visual cue, like that's going to be some pretty interesting things that your brain are going to try to cross between them, and that's probably honestly how it was discovered. Is one motherfucker was tripping balls, and it was a complete coincidence how he queued it up.
Yep.
Like,
just turned on the TV for some random visual stuff and then just put on a record. And he was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Whoa. I just unlocked the Matrix. But yeah, another one is Outcast the Love Below. Okay. You could do Dark Side of the Moon. You could do all the Pink Floyd shit. I'm trying to just think of something a little bit more outside the box that most people aren't going to recommend, you know? Because that's like pop / hip hop, but it's also a very, very artistic album. Like it comes in with this wild, crazy guitar into a horn section. And the whole album is a story. And one track doesn't necessarily perfectly flow into the next, but the story kind of does. It's hard to explain, dude.
This is an Outcast album?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of that double disc one. They did Outcast. The Love Below is one of the CDs, and then the other one's Speaker Box.
Okay.
And they both have hits on them that you've definitely heard before on the radio. But the Love Below is like a very artistically written album. I think it's a great album. What do you guys think?
And it's two albums because it's two members, right?
Yep.
And they basically each wrote an album.
Yeah, because they were gonna split up.
Okay.
And so they both wrote because they couldn't agree on what that album should be. And so they basically did split up. They both wrote their own albums. And then they were like, it makes way more sense to just put these out as a double disc under the name Outkast.
Right.
It's a brilliant move. It was one of the last times a record sold like 10 million records until Taylor Swift came along. And I don't even know if she sells that many hard copies.
I'm sure she does.
Because this was like still after the internet when people were like, you can't sell records anymore.
Right.
Like nobody's selling 1 million records. And then that CD sold like 9 million in its first 2 weeks or some shit like that. You guys can fact check me if you want, but I'm pretty sure I remember that because I seen a whole thing on it. It was pretty mind blowing. It was post download, you know.
Okay. I always think of that Key and Peele sketch whenever I think of Outkast.
Well, which one? I hate Key and Peele, like the show. I think they're cool. That show irritated me, but there's a few bits on there that would get me rolling laughing. Which one are you talking about?
So they're in like a coffee shop. So like Big Boy is just like chilling in the coffee shop. He's like normal, drinking his normal coffee, and then like what's the other dude's name? Andre 3000 whatever. He walks in wearing like this ridiculous like elf get up with like a pointy hat with a feather in it and shit like that. He orders this like ridiculous drink. So they just kind of like they meet up after splitting up for years, whatever. It's pretty good.
I think the one there's a few that got me, but the one, and this probably isn't even the funniest one I saw them do, but the one that sticks out to me. No, the funniest one is the fucking the black teacher mispronouncing the white names. That's the funniest one. You done fucked up, Ron.
The inner city substitute teacher.
Yeah. Ron, that one had me, that whole skit.
Jake Quellen.
Jake Quellen.
That one's good. And they're another good one with the names is that like the North South Bowl, the football names.
Yeah,
Everyone's got ridiculous names in there.
Yeah, that one's kind of funny. I feel like that skit just went on too long.
Yeah,
because like it should have just been like 11 dudes, but they did like 53.
Yeah,
because there's a 53-man roster, and it was like they don't do that. It was too many names, you know. They should have just done 11 at a time. And just had it be a reoccurring bit over like a year or whatever. Because that shit was funny for like the first like 8 or 9 names, and then by the time they hit like the 15th one, you're like, okay, I get it. I get it. He's got a bunch of bands in here that he's recommending. Shout out to Adam. Alpha Wolf is a band he's recommending. The Fault,
Alice in Chains.
The Fault
I like Alice in Chains.
EP. I think he's trying to say A Quiet Place to Die. Another band, Chevelle. Pass. I'm just kidding.
Somehow my oldest brother thought that I was like a big Chevelle fan, so every single time they came through, he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna go to the Chevelle show. Do you want me to get you a ticket?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good." But it was like
What's up, man? I thought you loved those guys.
Like clockwork, dude. Once a year, my brother would be like, "Hey, I'm buying tickets. You want me to get you a ticket?" No, I'm good.
Alice in Chains could be cool. The reason I wouldn't want to listen to them though is because that is like heavily heroin inspired music.
It is. It's good though.
I mean, it's kind of hard to say anything bad about Alice in Chains. I just don't know if I'd want to go down that dark path while doing mushrooms.
Oh yeah, okay.
I just don't know if I'd want to go down that path
while doing mushrooms. I don't know if that's something that I would think about.
Because that vibe, dude.
Because I don't usually think about their heroin use when I listen to Alice in Chains.
No, but the energy and the tone and like that droney, the way he sings his harmonies and stuff, like it's very, very minor key, very dark, very somber, and
sure,
really kind of painful and sad if you really listen to it.
I guess if that's what you want to go for.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would not recommend that for someone's first mushroom trip. But if you love Alice in Chains and that's your shit, then go for it.
Sure,
because it's something that makes you happy.
That's something that it puts you in that comfort zone.
Yeah, but if it's like you're trying to listen to new music, your first time on mushrooms, I would not recommend Alice in Chains. I just think it's too dark. You want to go happy. You want to have fun with it. You don't want to go too heavy your first time. You want to just have fun and keep it light. That's why I recommended The Love Below. Because it's funny, it's upbeat, it's catchy. Like, I just think it's a really you could go some trippier shit. Like I said, you could go like Dark Side of the Moon and some stuff like that. Enya would probably be pretty smart, actually.
Yeah,
Enya would probably be super smart because you already dig that. But I'm trying to think of new music, new shit. I don't know anything about these other bands. Alpha Wolf, maybe. But these are also, you'd have to listen to these bands. I would recommend listening to these bands first.
Right.
So at least you understand why they were recommended. As soon as you listen, and you like The Love Below, there's a bunch of songs on there and each one's a little different. So that one you might have to listen to the entire album, be annoyed. But then by the end of it, you go, but I totally understand. And you might even go, yeah, I'm going to listen to that on mushrooms. But you also might be like, I never want to fucking hear that again. Break that download.
Right.
Delete it from my phone. Yeah, I don't know, man. I disagree, dude. I disagree, Adam. I don't think that's a good thing to start with when you want to self-reflect, unless you're already a huge Alice in Chains fan. But
different strokes is basically what we're.
Are you a
huge
Alice in Chains fan?
I wouldn't say I'm a huge Alice in Chains fan, but I do really like to. I like them.
Okay, then
it's something that I like.
Then they might be a great band to listen to. Another one if you're into them is Tool.
I would like regularly put that on at work, so maybe it would remind me of work. And I'm honestly not a big Tool fan.
If you were a Tool fan, Tool would be a great band to listen to. If you're not a Tool fan, I would not recommend listening to Tool. Again, these are just your first mushroom trips.
Right.
Like, Tool would be a very highly recommended band if you were really fucking into them. Like, yeah, definitely. First time, listen to some fucking Tool, because it's just about getting like cool, trippy music that'll kind of like stimulate your brain and make you think, and like, especially if you can fucking trust yourself and just close your eyes. That's when you see the crazy shit, is you close your eyes. When you keep your eyes open, your brain has to work with everything it looks at and incorporate that. I call all that shit restrictions. Like, if you really want to fucking have the craziest mushroom trip, take any amount and then literally just sit in a silent room or go to like a deprivation tank. You know what a deprivation tank is?
Oh, yeah.
That's where you would have the strong, on any amount.
There's a movie where some dude does that and he like turns into a fucking weird monster being.
Yeah, because your brain can't see anything or hear anything to stop you and your imagination from continuing to snowball. Yeah, that dude. That's what I want to fucking do, bro. Hey, what's up, Jeremy? Jeremy was part of that show.
Jeed!
Jeremy was part of that show for sure. Up in both those ones we talked about earlier in the podcast. Fucking
Altered States. Sorry, that's the name of the movie.
Altered States.
Altered States. It's a movie from like the, I don't know, maybe early 90s, something like that. But it's about this dude who's like experimenting with drugs in a deprivation chamber, and he like fucking turns inside out or some shit. I don't know.
I gotta fucking watch this movie,
he turns
bro.
into like a weird being. But yeah, it's all about this dude who's just like experimenting with drugs in a deprivation chamber.
In 100%. I gotta fucking move this thing though. It's driving me nuts. Hold on, just don't say anything for a couple seconds. I gotta do this, and I gotta do this. Whoops. No, don't say anything, fucker. Oh, why isn't this working? Hold on. This is hilarious. You guys are seeing some behind the scenes shit on camera right now because I can't do this off camera. That's a little better. There we go. Now you can say something.
Okay.
There you go. Now you look tiny though.
That's fine.
I don't know what the fuck is going on. I take 1 week off and the whole fucking setup falls apart. But we did manage to get it up and running. I hope it looks decent and sounds good, you guys. Yeah, fucking shout out to Jeremy. Thanks for checking in and hanging out in chat, bud. We accomplished the Texas trip. That's what I've been doing recently, and I will probably talk about that quite a bit over the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But what else are you into when you're not doing music? You mentioned Magic the Gathering. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, so for like the past 5 years, I got pretty heavily into Magic.
And you're playing real decks.
Yeah. So I went as far as like
how much money you got invested in a Magic deck?
Like most people that play Magic is like what's considered kitchen table, which is they just throw together like random cards, right? I got like semi-competitive with it, where I was like doing, like I would spend like a couple $100 on a deck here and there. And then even like...
These are custom built decks?
Yeah.
Pre-built decks?
No, these like you can buy pre-built decks, but most people just will like rebuild like competitive decks.
For anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, explain to people what the fuck Magic the Gathering is
it's just
and how it works.
It's a card game. So it's a trading card game from 1993. You've obviously heard of it. If you haven't heard of it, where the fuck have you been? The game's been around for forever. It's still around. They're still making cards. So how much do I have invested in it? 20,000.
Holy shit, dude.
I have a bad spending habit when it comes to expensive cardboard. Probably, yeah.
Jesus Christ, Pat.
I have my most expensive cards are probably like one might be over $1,000 now. So here's the thing that happened. In 2015, Magic cards went fucking crazy, right? Shit went through the roof. Then it came back down. Then in 2020, it happened again. So a lot of my collection has like doubled.
Why'd it go back up in 2020? Because of the pandemic?
Yeah. Basically, people lost faith in the dollar. They started putting their money in collectibles. So it's not just Magic the Gathering. It's baseball cards are all of a sudden fucking worth money again. Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards, all sorts of old nostalgic collectibles are gaining traction again.
Dr. Seuss books?
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, well, because those got discontinued, so those fucking, like, some of them are going for thousands of dollars. Like, certain Dr. Seuss books, the ones they discontinued, are, like, on eBay, and, yeah, my wife was telling me about it. She's like, I gotta go down to fucking North Carolina, see if I got some of them books. We gotta sell them shits. Right? She's like, we may be able to build a new deck.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, like, people who were collecting back in the 90s, you know, are all of a sudden like, oh, shit, I went to my parents' house and, like, found my old cards and realized I have, like, thousands of dollars in cards all of a sudden.
I bet you I got some old Magic cards. Because I got football cards, baseball cards. I still got all of that shit. Hockey cards.
Yeah, look through them. Some of them might be worth money.
What do you do? Do you still get a Beckett, or do you just? Is there a website now?
I'm sure everyone has their own little apps. Like Magic has multiple apps, so I use.
But is there an official appraisal company that puts out the current yearly value or monthly value of a card, like Beckett did?
Right now, it's all online, so it's based off of online sales.
So you're determining your own market value.
Yeah. So like,
I mean, you always would, but
yeah. So like the website TCG Player is basically, it takes a median amount of it. Here's cards that have been sold on the TCG Player website, plus eBay and maybe a handful of other sites. And it takes those and says, here's the median amount that a card would go for. Here's the high end of where like a graded card would be, and then the low end of like damage stuff. Whatever. So it's all those prices are now online, and they fluctuate daily.
do you ever play online?
Yeah.
Like with webcams where you show your cards and shit?
Yes. So I was doing that during the pandemic, just with my friends. Now that the majority of my friend group that plays Magic is like halfway through or already done with their vaccination.
Do you have two webcams? One so you can see each other like with your faces, and then another one pointed at the cards? Or
I guess you could. I just used one webcam just on my cards.
oh, so they couldn't see you?
No.
They see your hands?
Yeah.
You ever put your dick out in there?
No.
You should have.
We're not that kind of group.
You thought about it though once or twice. It crossed your mind, didn't it? Admit it.
No.
Once. It crossed your mind once.
No.
You're not better than me.
Not once.
It had crossed my mind for sure. It just crossed my mind, so I know it crossed my mind. Just fucking all they can see are your cards. You fucking just beating the hell out of somebody when you play that last card and you got that win. Just dick on the table. And oh shit! Because you know all the people you're playing with.
Right.
It's not like you're on Omegle playing fucking chat roulette.
No. I mean, you can go on.
Yeah, but I wouldn't advise that. That's because
go
you'll
on
get a dick.
Go.
You'll be playing and you'll see the dick.
No, but you can hook up
That's
with
cool.
people on Discord and just play with random people online. I think that's
Adam wants to know what your color is.
All of them. I don't really have a specific. I play white and red aggro decks. I play,
What's an aggro deck?
Jund mid range. Aggro decks they're aggressive. So fast and aggressive, kill you by turn 3.
What does that mean? How's that work versus something that's not an aggro deck?
So like a very specific aggro deck would be burn. Burn is like a direct damage. So the way you win a game most commonly is you bring your opponent's life total from 20 to 0. So the most powerful burn spells in the game are usually hit you for about 3 damage. So it's just as fast as you can throw as many burn spells and small, fast creatures at your opponent as quick as possible. So those types, so like your good matchups will be against a control deck. Control decks hang back and they start to control the board eventually. So a good control deck will win with 2 life. You know what I mean? They're living on the edge of I'm almost dead, but I'm still fucking alive. That's that's how a control deck usually works.
Okay. And then, so there's like a control deck, a burn deck, and then an aggro deck.
So aggro and aggro, or like burn would be considered aggro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I guess you'd have aggro or an aggressive strategy, a mid-range strategy, which is mid-range. It's somewhere in between controlling, somewhere in between aggressive. It has aggressive big creatures, but also has those spells that can kind of like reset the game. Like, all right, it's getting a little bit out of my hands, and we need to kind of like, I need to get back into control. That's kind of how mid range would be. And then control is just like full on, like I need to control the game, and that's how I win by denying you resources, denying you your spells, basically just taking control of everything. So,
because I remember playing that shit, and there was an online, like a digital version, like through Xbox for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's still there, and you can play different computer. They got like a story mode in there too. It's fucking weird.
I never played it because I didn't have an Xbox, but I think it was called like something of the Planeswalkers, wasn't it?
I don't remember, but I mean, it's officially Magic the Gathering. It might have a subtitle in it. I can't recall, but it was enough to get me back into it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember picking back up on it pretty quick, but it's like what we were joking about earlier. It's like as soon as I put certain things down, I don't remember anything about them again.
Mm-hmm.
I took a fucking week off from the podcast and I couldn't remember how to do any of this. 1 week. That's all it took. And I did a podcast Thursday, so technically it was like 6 days. You know what I mean? That's not even a full week, bro.
Right.
Yeah, no, because every time you guys talk about this, I'm like, fuck, I don't remember any of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
But then as soon as I start playing that game, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this and blah, 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 blah. something mana.
Yep.
There's something in there.
Yeah, mana is your resource. It's what you use to cast your spells.
I bet if I got back on there, I'd fucking remember that shit.
Yeah.
But I gotta stay away from shit like that because, like you, I kind of have an addictive personality, and I'm super competitive.
Right.
I fucking hate losing, so I'd want to get good at it. And like I had to check myself with things like Rocket League and like playing football online.
Mm-hmm.
My boy Jeff, shout out to Jeff from North Carolina. He got me into this Madden football league where each person controlled a team.
Mm-hmm.
There was 32 motherfuckers in here, and you played against a real person each week. But as soon as they wanted to do 2 or 3 games a week, I couldn't fucking keep up because I got too much shit going on owning a home and with everything else. I'm like, I can't do all that. If it was 1 day a week, I might have been able to pull it off. But I lasted like 5 or 6 weeks into the season, which was like 1 week in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 2-0, and then I was like 2-4. And dude, I was ready to fucking start smashing controllers. I didn't, but I don't like losing like that, dude. And so I'll get serious. And I had to like seriously, like, I don't have time for this. I got way more important things to do. Because if I'm going to get good and smash these dudes the way I want to, like, I'm going to have to invest some serious time or even money. Like, I'm going to have to fucking, like, you know, buy a newer controller because mine was kind of janky and shit. You know, it's like there's $50. In your case, it's how many hundreds of dollars do I need to build the right deck for me and my play style? And oh, fuck all that. It's like
and
D&D.
That's what's fun about Magic, though, is like you can build budget decks for, you know, super cheap, $10, $20.
Yeah, but you're going to get smashed. If I try to play against somebody like you.
Not necessarily, depending on. So that's kind of where.
If I really know the game and I'm smart about it, but I don't. I'm a fucking re-entry noob.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna get smashed. It's gonna piss me off. I'm gonna want to take shortcuts. I'm gonna want to fucking And then years later, I can go back and strip it down to a $10 deck and fucking maybe hang.
Yeah,
but that's
I'm
after
actually
spending
very
hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised that I did get hooked. Because I don't think I would have gotten hooked if it wasn't for this one weekend that me and my wife Tanya went to this small like cabin in the woods that was only it didn't even have lights. It had like an emergency light, and that was it. But I mean, so we basically played Magic until it got dark. There was nothing to do. There was no electricity. We basically just like built a fire, hung out, and it was just like kind of like a nice weekend to get away from technology,
just to decompress.
Yeah, and she brought her Magic decks, and she was like, yeah, I mean, this is just what we're gonna do. And I was like, okay, and just like would lose game after game after game after game, and I was like, God, this sucks. So, but once I started, and then I'd win a game here or there, and I'd start figuring out, I need to wait for this. I can't just like play all my cards all at once. I need to like wait for the right opportunity to play that card. And then I started to get into that mentality of not just dumping everything out right away and just like playing cards because I could play a card. It was like I need to wait for the right opportunity to play that card. So once that's what kind of hooked me, was having to actually like think about the game,
the intellectual strategy behind it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then maybe in the last like 2 years, I really jumped into the finance aspect of it, which is like collecting the really old stuff, trying to get good deals on the old stuff that's never going to be reprinted again. So I went pretty.
So even if that card exists now, it's the addition of the card,
right?
That matters.
So there's
like slight variations in the art.
Yeah. So
or maybe even they readjusted like one of the points or something. They nerfed it or something.
Yeah. Almost all cards will get reprinted. There's a short list of reserved list cards that they'll never print again. It's not like legally binding, kind of. It's more just like a written
integrity thing.
Yeah, it's like a written promise to investors of Magic. That basically they said, all right, for the investors that don't want to lose money on like these cards, we will never ever reprint these cards ever again. So those cards on that list, the ones that are super playable, are crazy expensive, and the ones that are not really desirable are still super cheap. But in the last year, all those super cheap ones, people have said, well, these are the only cheap reserved list cards that'll never get reprinted ever again. We need to start buying those up. So those cards have now started to kind of go on the rise. But I mean, a lot of that stuff is like beyond my my bank account.
Right.
Willingness to drop like $1,000 for a single piece of cardboard is it's a little ridiculous when you really think about it. Even like the most I've ever spent on a card, I think was maybe $300.
I should really go look though, because I fucking jumped in pretty heavy right away. And what I mean by pretty heavy was just the amount of Magic cards I bought. Because when I first started, like, yeah, there was rare cards, but the only way to get them was by buying new packs.
Right.
Nobody was
Did you just buy like a
shit.
bulk?
Yeah, you
box?
would go, yeah, and it was like $5.
Right.
Because they were 50 cents or something like that.
Yeah, so I mean,
then.
depending on the time when you bought
Or
that,
$10 or $20 or whatever.
Yeah, there could certainly be, you know, over time those cheapy 50-cent cards might be worth a lot of money now.
And I wonder if fucking some of those packs aren't even opened.
Yeah.
Because I got to that point too, where you would just buy packs. You just let me buy 5 packs of these, 5 packs of these, 5 packs of these. Then you bring them home, and there was just too many. After a while, there was too many to fucking open.
Just toss them aside.
No, you would just leave them in a box. You know, you started building up boxes instead of having open cards. You'd have boxes of unopened cards now because you're just like, well, they're there.
Yeah. If you find them, let me know. I can go through them and let you know what's legit, what's valuable, and what's not.
I really should fucking do that.
Yeah, because depending on when you were going through cards, you could have some pretty expensive shit in there.
Fuck. What else did you do to get you through the pandemic?
Oh my God.
It was a long fucking year for a lot of people.
I felt like I did nothing. I felt like I started the year like, ooh, I'm going to like really delve into playing guitar. Didn't fucking do that. I'm going to start painting again. Didn't fucking do that. I didn't do anything. I got promoted at work, and that's basically taken up all of my time. I fucking hate being head mechanic.
Right.
Oh my God, I hate it.
That's so funny.
Being Mr. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I hate it. I wish I could just give me 8 hours of work and leave me the fuck alone. I hate being the go-to guy.
Yeah. I have trouble with it too because I just want to do my job, but I have a problem when my boss is an idiot.
Right.
And I've been very lucky that the last several bosses I've had have been extremely intelligent and very good at their job. Plus they were very good at my job.
Right.
So they knew how to do my job. Because I've worked for smart people that have no idea who to do my job. So they say and ask a lot of stupid shit.
Right. And then it pisses you off because you're like, why are you my boss and you don't know that?
Yeah. It's like, dude, no, we can't do that. Well, can't you just do the... And it's like, dude, that's not a thing. That's not how any of this works. Well, so-and-so says they can do it that way. I'm like, fuck, dude, then go ahead and do it. I don't know why you're so difficult. Like, because I ain't fucking trying to put X amount of people's lives at risk with this dumbass idea you're trying to get everyone to run along with. And then I've worked for actual idiots where they're just, how are you my boss? You know what I mean?
Somebody's brother-in-law or something, you know?
Something. It's like, fuck, dude, that's the worst. So I feel you, man. And yeah, I'd rather be the man if everyone else is an idiot. But if there's somebody really smart and fucking skilled, I would much rather just give me my job and let me go the fuck home. Except for something like this, you know, like you're talking working for somebody else. And
yeah,
that's the only thing that fucking I don't think I can do it. Cause I technically my place was also essential, but our customers weren't.
Sure.
So they just fucking had to lay people off down to a skeleton crew. There was 4, I don't know how many people are there now, but there was 4 people last time I checked. There was the owner, the main person, and a welder and a press brake operator. That was it. Like, and that's insane. That's so insanely small for what the amount of people that were there.
Sure.
And it's like, fuck that, dude. I'm not fucking risking all this shit again. You know, whether they have a vaccine for this one or not, like whether the vaccine works or not. I mean, I still said that wrong. Whether this vaccine works on all the new strains or not, I'm not even worried about coronavirus. I'm young and healthy enough for that. But what if there's another thing, the next thing around, because we've shown that the world, every country, no one was really ready for it,
Right.
unless you're going to shut people down and strip away every semblance of freedom they have.
Yeah, or you live on a fucking island like New Zealand. So
And then even when that happened, it was like you shut everything down in certain cities and certain towns, and people went fucking bankrupt, dude. People lost their minds. They got depressed. They got divorced. Fucking domestic violence went up. Suicides went up. It's like, not sure that was the best idea either, looking back. Are you vaccinated, by the way?
I'm halfway vaccinated, yeah.
So have you been out in public much? Have you been doing shit? Been getting out?
I mean, I don't do things. I basically go grocery shopping. That's it. I don't visit friends.
Shows?
No, shows are non-existent. I haven't even seen.
They're coming back. I think they've already been happening. They're just in weird places. They're at half cap.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They were at 25%.
Yeah, I haven't even heard of any shows in the metal scene that are happening. I don't know of any. I don't even know of any like venues that are.
I'll show you to some. I'll bring you to some. They're not metal. They're hard rock and metal, but I can get you out of the house.
Maybe once I get
a little twitchy.
Maybe once I get stick number 2.
Once you get the second ouchie Fauci.
Yeah.
Fauci ouchie. Dude, Texas is wide open, bro.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. There ain't shit going on in Texas, dude. Certain places will still make you wear a mask, and they don't fuck around. Like, you put your fucking mask on. It's fucking Texas. Everyone has a gun. You don't mouth. Yeah. They're so fucking polite down there. There's no road rage. It's great. People drive a little fast, but it's nothing. Like, you put your blinker on, and you go to move over, and you see them there, and you come back over. They don't fucking skirt past you and flick you off. They slow down and let you in.
I remember the complete opposite of being in Texas.
That's what Kevin said too.
I was driving a van and a trailer. It was horrible.
Were you in downtown Dallas?
Yeah.
See, I was in North Dallas.
That's right.
So
you were saying you were
just outside of downtown, and it was fucking awesome, dude. But I was all over that place, dude. And the coolest thing that I saw, and it's really not even that cool if you think about it, but I just thought it was fucking the coolest shit. I found this place where a bunch of professional wakeboarders go to hang out, and it's like this park. I put a video of it on my Instagram, and these dudes, it sort of looks like a ski lift, but it's 100% horizontal. But they do have this, again, kind of like a ski lift, where it runs up on a track and you get pulled off the dock, and then it goes up to the main track, latches on, and it just whips you around this fucking small little lake. And they got jumps and shit, and these dudes, it was badass, dude.
That's really cool.
It was like the fucking coolest shit.
And you're basically just holding onto a line.
Yeah.
That's pulling you across. That's
and then
really
if
cool.
you bail, it's not super deep, so you just you swim back. And they have a way of, he explained it to me, there's like a knuckle on there, so they're able to trigger something, and it'll fall back down, and he can grab it. And yeah, I think they can have 4 or 5 people on it. It's $55 for 2 hours, which seems like a lot, but trust me, it's worth it. And because you got to think, you don't have to worry about a boat, you don't have to worry about a license, you don't have to worry about any of that other shit. You literally just got to go there, do the damn thing, and you're probably not going to last much more than 2 hours anyways.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I imagine that's
exhausting.
pretty fucking grueling. Yeah.
Most of those dudes were only up for a half hour, 45 minutes. Then they'd take a 15, maybe half hour break, and then go back in for a half hour, 45 minutes. And those are the pros too. They're not even grinding for the full 2 hours.
Right.
They'd get on and off and take breaks and stretch and shit. These motherfuckers were doing some wild ass shit with this. One dude, I didn't get all this on camera, but the one dude figured out somebody was telling me a lot of the fucking experienced people do that, not even just the pros. But there was 2 guys. One was top 25 in the country, and then one dude was top 3. They were wakeboarders. I didn't catch their names, but they were 100 yards away from me. But these other dudes were talking about them, and I was asking questions and shit. And the one dude did it, and I was fucking far out. Have you ever seen when dudes do those giant they're basically kites or small parachutes, and they lift themselves 20, 30 feet off the ground?
Is it parasailing?
No, it's extreme kiting or some shit like that. Fuck, it's so
But
stupid.
you're on a wakeboard?
No, so this, I'm just talking on the ground.
Oh, okay.
So guys will have these crazy kites and they'll fucking like pick themselves up and they'll go 20, 30 feet off the ground and then land gracefully and shit. And they'll like whip themselves around and do flips and shit. And it's like with a giant, essentially kite or small parachute.
Sure.
They'd figured out how to do that with the elasticity of the cable coming around the corner. So they'd pull the fucking thing right and they'd know how to time it where it'd snap them back and they'd get launched and they'd fly around the corner. Like, again, I was so far away, it could have been more than 20 feet off the water, but it looked like 10, 15 maybe. Could have been way higher than that,
right.
But it was the distance that he did this on the turn. That had to be at least 40, 50, 60 feet in a curve before he fucking came back down and then went about the thing. And I was like, holy fuck. And they were like, oh yeah, that dude's here. Yeah. Now that he did that, these other guys will start doing it and shit. And I was like, fuck, man, I got to get back in. But this is dope because it was right next to this place where I'd been hanging out. I had a drink in an app over here. A couple hours later, we had a drink in an app over here. It's all built around like this like man-made lake and a couple man-made ponds. Dude, it's fucking wild, man.
Hell yeah.
I think we're moving back. I think we're moving down there.
Yeah.
I think Kate lived there once, apparently.
Okay.
It's fucking dope. This shit's wide open.
Yeah, I haven't been to Texas in a long time, and I only just like played 2 shows there. I didn't actually like hang out.
There's still a lot of people wearing masks, by the way. They just don't enforce it.
Sure.
Like, it's wide open.
People
are just living their lives. Some people are wearing masks, some people aren't.
Yeah, it was very enforced when I went down to Puerto Rico, like to the point where there was always somebody at the entrance of like a store ready to either watch you get your temperature taken because they had like these automatic get your temperature and take a little squirt.
Communism, man.
And take a little squirt. And no, it was like, I don't know. It's simple and easy. No one had a problem with it. It was fine.
That just scares the shit out of me, though. Because what if I'm on a run? What if I'm fucking, not feeling well, but it has nothing to do with fucking coronavirus. Like, well, now I can't.
Then you shouldn't be outside.
But what if I need to be outside? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I get nervous when we start talking about you cannot. Like, protect yourself. But I'm not sure where that line is as to when we should be telling other people what they can and cannot do. Like, when it comes to that kind of shit. I mean, obviously, if you're infringing on somebody else's rights, yeah, you can't do that. But telling somebody they can't go grocery shopping, I don't know, man.
I mean, I think it's a different situation. If we were in like, a regular, like the yearly flu, we've gotten to a point in our humanity where the flu still kills many people, but is to a lesser extent, it still sucks. You've had the flu, right?
A couple times.
Yeah, getting the flu fucking sucks. So
it's extremely rare that people actually have the real flu, by the way.
I've had the flu one time. I think I had the flu.
You probably have definitely had it at least once, but it's not like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I get every couple of years. I get a 24-hour flu. That's not actually a thing. That's
right.
It's just something that causes similar symptoms. The real flu will almost kill you.
Right. But so that's, what we're dealing with now is something that's new to man, obviously. So it's like to have a little bit of caution, I think, is fine. I don't think this is going to continue. We're not going to have these like constantly newly emerging viruses and sicknesses constantly. This is just it's a very rare thing to have happen, I think.
I don't know, man.
I think we need to just
I think they're happening more and
flow
more.
with it.
And this isn't new. This is SARS-2. Like, it's COVID SARS-2. Like, it's literally just like SARS, but it's a slightly different version.
That's interesting to think about too.
And then there's MERS, which was another respiratory. They're all three of those were serious pandemics that fucked
but they
shit
didn't
up.
They didn't explode like this one did. Where like which one was bird flu?
That's the bird flu.
Well, it has a real name.
Flu?
No, it has a name like MERS or like it was one of them. It was.
You're thinking like H1N1 or some shit like that.
Yes,
but H1N1 is the swine flu, so I don't know which one was the bird flu.
Right. So bird flu could have been like once it starts to mutate, it could have been fucking devastating. But it mutated the opposite way. It mutated to a point that said, I'm not going to be as deadly to humans. It could have gone either way.
Now, here's the thing: is that first
so
version,
that's what's interesting about this.
But that first version is still out there, and that first version can still mutate another way and give that bad version.
Sure.
Like when it mutates, it's not like, okay, now it's done in that. That's not how it works. They mutate back and forth and come back around. That's why H1N1, the swine flu, the same thing that was the influenza of 1918, that's the same flu that keeps coming back every like 40, 50, 60 years in a new wave that has a slight mutation to it. Basically the same thing. And I didn't know about that bird flu shit, but I do know how that works because my buddy was just explaining it to me like in detail. I find that shit fascinating too. And that's why I'm not convinced this is new, and we're not, because I think we're seeing these things at a more increasingly rapid rate because we're, as human beings, getting closer and closer into contact with animals on a regular basis that we don't normally have because of expansion of housing, deforestation, shit like that.
Right.
And then we're mixing animals with other animals that would normally never see each other in the wild.
Sure.
And when that shit starts happening, you get pathogens that jump from species to species that normally wouldn't happen. Plus you have like different governments and shit that are working on things for experimental purposes, not necessarily to weaponize. Sometimes they're working on them to defend against a weapon, a potential weapon, but they still have to create that disease in order to create a defense for it, or get a sample of it. And there's more and more credibility coming out that, it came from that wet market, but it was from like some fucking corpses that somebody stole from the lab and sold on the black market. And that's how it ended up getting out. So regardless of which version of that is 100% true, I'm just simply saying I don't think it's 100% like something. I think we should worry about it because I don't think our country or a lot of other countries were actually prepared for it, and I don't think they're gonna be prepared for the next one either.
Right.
I think this one was actually pretty mild. I think we definitely overcorrected, but it was a really good dry run for us to see the flaws in the system. I fear that they're not going to make the corrections for it so we can properly deal with it. I think there was too many people that just liked the idea of the lockdown instead of being able to handle a mass amount of sick people. And I don't think they're going to be prepared to handle a mass amount of sick people again. They just went, well, the lockdown worked. Let's just do that again. And the thing is like the repercussions that's going to have over the next 10 to 15 years economically, it's not going to be good, dude. Like you can't put that many people out of work and destroy that. I mean, 9/11 was one day, but they shut things down for 3 days.
Yeah.
And it affected the economy for 10 years. 10 years it took for the economy. And as soon as it bounced back, the fucking housing bubble of 2009 happened. That collapsed the economy all over again. And it wasn't until like 2016, 2017, 2 years into fucking Trump's presidency that the fucking economy finally started to bounce back. Boom. Now the pandemic hit, only they kept shit shut down for a year, bro. In certain industries, they're still at half capacity. Like the loans that I'm just saying, it's not going to be like, a couple years back and everything's back to normal. Like that's just not how money works. Not in the world, not in this country. Like it's fucking, it wasn't smart to do that crazy of a lockdown for this long. We needed to do a better job of handling the virus.
Right. There needed to be one very harsh lockdown is basically what it came down to. There needed to be just like, something better needed to happen.
I think we just needed more infrastructure investment from the beginning on PPE and the ability to set up rapid response hospitals.
Sure.
So, because that was the whole point. We don't have enough respirators. We don't have enough PPE. Blah, 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 blah. Everybody's going to die if we overflood the systems. We got to put it on 2 weeks to slow the curve so we can build up PPE and treat people accordingly. But they didn't really do that. They just left everyone on lockdown, and they still never made these huge stockpiles of PPE. Even though those FEMA hospitals, a lot of them didn't get flooded. They just set them up and shut them down.
Right.
They didn't move them to places where, so it was like, I don't know. I felt like it was a really good dry run for us to see how we didn't handle it well. And so logistically, we could handle it much better in the future. I just don't have that kind of faith in large groups of people
Exactly.
to have that kind of foresight. So I fear that the next time it
large
comes
groups
around,
of people that are extremely separated in what they believe in. Not to go down.
I think everyone is, though. I
mean,
think we perceive America to be more divided than everywhere else, but I think every other country's dealing with the same fucking shit. Multiple political parties, fucking no one agrees on everything.
I think in reality,
except China, they just go, "Nope, we're doing this."
Yeah, I'd like to believe that most of us are somewhere we can find a middle ground pretty easily, and that the nut jobs on either side are really just a very small fraction.
100%.
I really hope that is the case anyway. And that's just what you see on TV because it's fucking television.
100%. I also feel that up here, and I don't know if I was talking to you about that before the podcast or if I was talking to somebody else, but Texas is almost the part of Texas I was in reminded me so much of Minneapolis, but things were inverted. So like my beliefs up here, I oftentimes get called a Nazi. Right? Because I'm not liberal enough. I'm not left wing enough. I'm not progressive enough. Down there, I heard very similar rhetoric. And people are like, listen, man, you're going to have to pick a side because that fucking commie bullshit ain't going to fly down here. And it was like, dude, like I just heard Rogan say this and Brett Weinstein say this, or Weinstein. So I feel like it's just the perfect phrase. I'm politically homeless because I certainly aren't a full-blown libertarian either. Like there's views that I agree with on both parties, and I think you're right. I think that's where most of us are. And everyone wants to go, let's start a third party. And I'm like, we already tried that once, and there's just less people that are happy with who becomes president. Yeah. Like that's not the answer. Like I think the two parties need to come closer together and fucking stop.
Find that middle ground. Yeah. Work together.
Yeah, because down there it's the same exact thing, dude. It's just the other pendulum, you know, and they look at us like we're insane. We look at them like they're insane. And people like us, like you mentioned, most of us are probably in the middle. You feel like you got to pick a side. You feel like the middle, because everyone's against you if you're in the middle.
Right.
You're the problem.
Right. Pick the right side.
I can't believe how many people told me Hillary Clinton lost the election because I voted for Gary Johnson. And I was like, do you have any fucking idea how short-sighted that statement is? Because Minnesota still went to Hillary Clinton.
That was the only election I voted third party.
Did you?
Yeah.
Who'd you vote for?
I voted for I don't even remember. I remember
Jill Stein.
It was a woman, yeah, Jill Stein.
Yeah, a lot of people voted third party in that one. Or didn't vote.
Yeah.
Same, and that's the point, is a lot of people don't vote in the presidential election because they don't align with either side. And then the rest of the people that do, like I do the math every 4 years, and it's roughly half of our country votes, period, but only about, what is it? It's like a third of our country votes for the two sides, and the rest of that half is like third party. I think that's how the math worked out. So it's like, yeah, like 17-18% roughly vote for each president, the real big candidates. And then that other X amount, 12 or whatever it is all random third parties or independent or whatever.
Sure.
But then the majority of people don't fucking vote for the president because you don't represent any of us, man. You guys are fucking insane.
Right.
And it's weird in the music business, dude. It's weird in the music business because, like, doing this podcast, I found out a bunch of fucking people are, like, kind of conservative, but they're afraid to say that.
Sure.
You know, and they're like, we can't talk about that on the podcast. Like, you know, like, I'm fucking, And down there, it's the exact opposite. I had certain people like, oh, you're from Minnesota? Oh, man, like, fucking, like, I really can't say anything around here, but I'm actually a liberal, dude. Like, I'm like, oh, my God. It was just funny because everything up here is about fascism and Nazis and racism. Everything down there is about communism and about the federal government taking freedom and not loving Jesus. And I can't say any of you guys are wrong. I'm not mocking any of you guys for having those feelings. But neither one believes that the other side has any validity to their argument. And that's where I have an issue, is that my side's right and your side's wrong.
Sure.
It's like, I think both of you guys have some fucking super valid points, man, because there's some crazy fucking shit happening right now. And I'm not sure any of us are really down with all of it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think most of us are down with a couple things, and then we're like, yeah, the rest of that shit seems a little nuts.
Right. Yeah, you can be super far to one side on certain things, and then, you know, well, maybe let's not go that far with
like
that
even down in
thing.
Texas, you know, I was like, I got some liberal philosophies, and they're like, what? And I was like, well, for one, I'm pro-choice. And they gave me the side eye, and I was like, "You gonna tell me the government has the right to tell you what you can do with your own goddamn body?" And they were like, like they're mulling that one over. And they were like, "Okay, what else?" And I was like, "How about we fund public schools with music programs?" And they're like, "We do that all the time. We don't have any issues with that." I was like, "We do," because the fucking conservatives want to fucking slash the budget up where I'm from. They're like, that's fucking weird. Like, they also have a different kind of conservative down there. Like a Texas conservative is not, they don't hold the same exact values as a Minnesota conservative. These Minnesota conservatives, I don't think they properly represent what most conservatives actually think and feel, at least not down there. They're a totally different type of people. And they don't seem like a bunch of racist rednecks, because especially where I was at, it was 100%. That's funny. It was definitively at least 60% black people everywhere I was hanging out. Like, white people were not in the majority.
Sure.
And a lot of this shit that I was hearing from them were black people and white people unanimously all saying very similar things. So I was really shocked by that, but I don't know. It's very, very hard to explain. I got to go back down there and spend more time and really get more lay of the land, because it kind of opened my eyes, because I've been all over this country, but I've never spent any time in Texas. I went through the tip of Texas once, and I don't even remember what band. We were joking about this shit earlier, what we can and cannot remember. I don't even know if I really was in Texas now, but we swung through in that panhandle, and we played a show, and that was the end of our loop. And we picked that up. I believe it was Texas, because we picked it up because we were supposed to play somewhere in Oklahoma, and that didn't work out. And so we were like, well, fuck it. You know, we'll just play that one and then just go all the way back home. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure we even ended up playing that show, because I think it's one of those ones where we showed up and there was no one there. Like, they were like, oh, that show got canceled. So I think we were there, and we were like, okay, well, let's grab a bite to eat and go home. Like, that type of deal. Something like that. Because I really don't remember it. I never spent any time there. And I only spent 3-4 days there this time. But the whole point was to network and see the place and figure out the lay of the land, you know, boots on the ground style.
And you already had people down there that you were like in contact with or whatever.
Yep. I knew a small handful of people already, and then the rest of the time was having them introduce me to people, and me seeing just like, I want to see how many people I can fucking meet, because that's what I do, right? And I was like, fuck it. I found a Cigars International. You remember when you asked me where I was buying my cigars back in the day? And I was like, that magazine, Cigars International. You still smoke cigars, by the way? Dude, I'm definitely starting again. They have a bar in Texas. They have a bar. So you walk in, and it's half this place is an entire fucking humidor. Like, you walk in, they've got every fucking cigar you can imagine. You buy your cigar, you clip it. They'll even fucking clip it for you in, light it, and fucking then you walk out, and you're just in the bar. And you walk up, order yourself some bourbon or a beer or whatever. You can walk right out onto the patio and back and forth. They got ashtrays and fucking cedar strips and matches everywhere. Awesome. I ended up dipping back there at the end of every day, because it was just the coolest place to hang out and meet the wildest group of people.
Sure.
Like, when I say diverse, the way we use that word up here, it's very, racially diverse. No, like, I mean diverse as in like the type of people and their like backgrounds, where they came from, why they were there, It's fucking cool, man. Like, I'm going back, dude.
Nice.
I'm going back. I love Texas.
I haven't smoked a cigar in, oh my God, probably 8 years.
Start again.
Been a long time. I still have cigars in a humidor somewhere that are probably no good anymore. I don't know how you revive a cigar, if that's even a thing, but
I think
you can throw them into
is a way if they didn't fall apart.
Right.
Maybe. Or get moldy.
Oh, yeah.
But like they
wouldn't be moldy, I wouldn't think.
If they get too moist, they'll get moldy.
They're in a cedar box.
Then they're probably not. Then they're how many times has that box been opened?
Well, like 5 times a year.
They're probably dry.
Oh, they're definitely dry.
You pick them up?
No, they're like
open them and look at them.
They're like at the bottom of my like passport and old credit cards I don't use. It's just like a box where I throw like important stuff that I don't touch ever.
They sell these like humidipacks. They're like a gelatin. That might save it. That's what I switched to.
Sure. I feel like they might just be too far gone, but I don't know enough about cigars to know that you can revive a cigar.
You might.
They might be to a point where they would need like professional help.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's actually a thing, especially if it's not a really nice cigar to begin with.
Right.
Like if it's even remotely cheap, it's fucked.
Sure.
It has to be a really nice cigar, and then they still have to be like properly stored. So even if they're not at the right humidity, they can. I think I've heard someone talking about this, but it also could have been a movie and it could have been bullshit. Right. I don't know where I'm getting this from as we're talking about this, but God damn it, I'm going to find out again. We talked about Magic the Gathering. Nope. My new bad habit is smoking cigars. But I also realized that I can probably quit smoking cigarettes if I go back to cigars, because it's a nice bridge because I'm still getting some nicotine, but I'm getting rid of that needed muscle memory and feeling of getting that burn in the back of my throat. So I can like, instead of chewing, I think chewing is probably like the worst for you.
Yeah, no thanks.
Out of the 3. I'll do that on a podcast. I got the pouches if somebody's like bothered by smoke or whatever, somebody's asthmatic or
sure.
Then I'll do it because it'll get me through a few hours, no problem. But it's not the same. It also fucking saved my trip, dude. The plane and the like no smoking in the airports and shit anymore. Threw one of them pouches in. I was good.
There's a couple of airports that have like smoking boxes.
Not anymore.
No? They got rid of those?
Almost all of them have gotten rid of smoking now.
Okay.
The last one that I know of was Atlanta. The only one I know that
I think it was Atlanta.
Miami. But technically it's because the TGI Fridays is technically outside. They just have like, it's like an open air roof. It's this really weird place, and you open it up, and it's a TGI Fridays bar.
Huh.
And that's it. And it's like there's enough room for people to sit at the bar, and then there's one row of tables on the outside of that, and there's only enough room for 2 people to sit at each table. And you're only allowed to sit at the table if you order food.
Okay.
If you're not ordering food, you can't sit at those tables. You have to sit at the bar, and the bar is always full. So there's always
so you can't just you can't just sit there just to smoke a cigarette. Like,
no,
you have to be ordering food.
Yeah, you can come in, you can smoke a cigarette, but I think if you're even going to just be in there to smoke a cigarette, you still have to order a drink. I think I might be making that one up, but you can't sit at those tables and just sit down and smoke, even if you're ordering a drink. It's like you have to order food. I do distinctly remember that.
Yeah, I remember thinking that was so wild because I don't think it was that long ago. It was only a couple of years ago when I was in. I wonder if it was at the Atlanta airport, just like walking past a box.
They just switched it.
Of like 4 people just like in this like closed glass room smoking, and I was like, That's a thing, I guess.
So they either made it effective in 2020 because that was the last time I traveled, was right before the pandemic. Or it was 2019 because that was whatever the last time I went to. The last time I went to North Carolina with my wife, the law had just gone into effect like 3 days before we landed. And that was either 2019 or 2020, whichever the last time was we went down there. But the very year before that, I still smoked. That blindsided me. That fucked my shit up, dude. It's like, oh my God. How am I going to fucking play? This was my one thing, is like everything transfers to Atlanta, so we're good. Just get to Atlanta. I can smoke, have a beer, blah, blah. That's how I used to travel. I used to get fucking wasted.
Mm-hmm.
I used to just love to get tanked and just get on the fucking plane and just keep drinking. By the time we got to the fucking airport, I'm super drunk. Just go to a bar, start ripping cigs, drink a couple more beers, hit that next plane, and then by the time I get to my spot, I'm fucking fucked up. I'm cruising on this thick day drinking buzz, but I'm also rested, so I want to get up and start moving, right?
Right.
And then by the time you get 2 hours in, you're like, all right, I'm tired, time to go to bed. You're ready. And then you get a heavy night's sleep, you wake up the next day, start your vacation great.
Sure. Yeah, that's how I used to travel too when I still drink. Get two big tall fucking beers before you get on the plane, and then keep drinking. Drink whiskey on the plane.
Now, you said you've been to Puerto Rico 3 times.
Yeah.
And the last time you went was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
How long ago did you get back?
We went in February.
Oh, so you just got back.
Yeah.
And you're thinking about moving down there now, huh?
Yeah, we've talked about it. I don't know. You can buy a house for pretty cheap.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you, why do you want to move there?
I don't really want to. My wife does.
Why would you move there?
Why would I move there?
Why would you let her convince you?
Cheap living, I guess.
Okay.
I don't necessarily want to. I don't want to move outside of the cities to be able to afford a house. I don't want to live in a fucking suburb. And if I can buy a house for 150K, that's like the size of a 500K house here in Puerto Rico, and be surrounded by, like beauty all year round. Island living is fucking weird though. Like just being on that island for a week at a time is like, it's something you have to get used to. There's like, island time is a real thing.
Yeah.
People really they don't really abide by times. You know what I mean? It's like we're kind of open, but we're also kind of not. Like I might be surfing for a couple of hours in the middle of the fucking day, and my shop's just closed, and you're like, wait, what? Why is this place closed?
Is it touristy where you hang out?
No.
Okay. So you don't have to deal with that bullshit.
No. So most of the touristy stuff happens on the 2 very small islands off of the east side, which are Culebra and Vieques.
Mm.
So those 2 islands are they're postcard beautiful. Like, they're pristine, amazing beaches.
Clean as fuck.
Kinda. I can't remember which one has. I think it's Vieques has one of those bioluminescent bays.
Wow. Okay.
On it. So we did that one night.
And it's
that was
cheap
super
once you're
fucking
like
cool.
everything's cheap once you're there in Puerto Rico.
It depends. Food is kind of expensive because they have to import everything. So that's the one thing that's kind of expensive. But like you can find a fucking street vendor and buy food for $2 or $3 and get like, pinchos, which is just like barbecue chicken, or
that's what we found in Jamaica, dude. We
and-
found in Jamaica, you find the hole in the wall place
Mhm.
where it's like maybe at most 5 people work there, but usually it's 1 or 2.
Mhm.
Oh, that was the best Jamaican food we found, because it was a huge difference between the first time I was there and then 10 years later to go get married. Where we went was Negril, and the first time I was there, it was very, very authentic. It was hard to find commercial food. Like, I remember
and now is that like all it is? There's just like chains everywhere.
it's not just chains, but it's like everything is like very official.
Mhm.
And it's very hard to find. Everything's been Americanized.
Yep.
So even though it's still,
Puerto Rico's similar.
yeah,
There's,
it's just kind of,
there's a Wendy's and a Burger King on every fucking corner.
that
So
sucks.
yeah, but they also they've got like there's like a local chain, like there's some fucking taco place, I can't remember what it was called, but you'd see those on every corner,
But you can
yeah,
still get like street food and shit like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Is it bomb? Is the street food bomb?
Yeah.
Because that, dude, when I travel, that's what I'm into now, is the
Mhm.
food. Like, that's the only thing I was disappointed by in where I was at in Texas, is it was all chains. There was a few cool small local spots, but I didn't really have time to make that kind of stop.
Mhm.
You know, like, oh, I want to eat there. It was like, I got to eat in the area where I'm meeting people. And so it was all chains. And I didn't even end up eating that much while I was in Texas. It was crazy. Fucking dude, I was just moving.
Sure.
And so when I did eat, I wanted to eat something that I knew wasn't going to make me sick. And I ended up fucking either getting mild food poisoning on the very last night, because I fucking puked my guts out Monday morning right before I had to leave the hotel and get on the plane. I was fucked up, dude.
Oh, brutal.
It was so bad. But regardless, that was the only disappointing part of Texas. And if I go to Puerto Rico, because especially if we move, because that's in the southeast. That's like south of Florida, by Cuba and Jamaica and all that shit down there. But south of like Key West and the Virgin Islands and all, right?
I think I don't know if it's part of the Virgin Islands. No, it's its own thing.
It's north of Cuba, right?
Yes.
And yeah, because Jamaica's on the south side of Cuba. But we realize if you live in Florida or Texas or any of those Gulf states,
yeah, you're super close to
getting to those islands is cheap as fuck.
Yeah.
We were talking to people in Texas, from Texas and from Florida when we were in Jamaica, and they were like, yeah, we talked about going to this town and staying for the weekend, and we realized it was cheaper to just fly here for the weekend. We're going back Monday. It's like, you got to, because here's what I'm getting at. From Minneapolis, our problem with going to Puerto Rico or Jamaica is the fucking plane tickets are ridiculously expensive. They're long.
Right.
And yeah, you might be able to find something dirt cheap and last minute, but most people up here, we can't travel like that. You know, we got to find fucking babysitters or dog sitters. We got to arrange a whole bunch of shit. We got to plan that shit months out. But you're saying once you get to Puerto Rico, it's pretty cheap?
Yeah. Like I said, food is the only thing that's kind of expensive, but you can find cheap food.
So what else do you do?
You can find those street vendors that are selling.
So what's it all
stuff.
about? What's the, especially that spot in Puerto Rico? What draws you guys to that spot?
Fajardo has like one specific beach that's like pretty popular, and there's a lot of local restaurants there.
Yeah.
And that's where you get fish there. You get fucking. There's this spot that we go to that is like almost like half a smokehouse, half. It's kind of Americanized, but not really. I'm blanking on the name of it. Starts with an E.
Make it up.
Make it up.
Either way.
Whatever. Yeah. It's I think it's just it's really chill.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of just going at their own pace.
That's dope, dude.
So yeah. But there's still a lot of island that I haven't seen. So I don't necessarily have to move to Fajardo. I could,
right, obviously.
I can go back and that was like partly
because that kind of sounds like what Negril used to be like.
Where's that?
That's that spot in Jamaica I was telling you about. Like it changed so much. The first time I went there, it sounds like kind of what you were talking about. The beach, it was the 7 Mile beach. It was incredible. And there were shops and restaurants and bars all the way up and down this thing, but it was really laid back and chill and peaceful and serene. And now it's a spring break destination.
Right.
And so the fucking locals are jaded when it's not spring break season because they're exhausted and they're pissed off at fucking tourists now.
I found that's
totally different.
That's how Hawaii was when I went to Hawaii.
Really?
We went to the one of the smaller islands of Hawaii. Oh my God, I'm terrible. I forget the name of it. But I found that people were very like it was South Park did an episode that was very similar to like these people were obviously not from Hawaii, but they were angry at the you know like I've lived in Hawaii for 10 or 15 years, so I feel like a local, but
they're still called mainlanders,
right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like,
I heard about that.
Those people would be pissed off at vacationers and stuff.
Yeah,
like that, so.
I found more and more like when I go on vacation, I don't want to go anywhere near like a big, even if it's a local corporation thing. I just less and less of that. I want to go to like when we go to Dublin, Kate and I are eventually going to Dublin. That's a fucking cheap place you can go. You ever been to Ireland?
I've never been to Europe.
Dude, it's not really Europe, but I mean, I guess it sort of is. Like its own thing. It's its own island for sure. I mean, it's barely Europe. It's barely Europe.
I mean,
I had to think about that for a minute.
It's in Europe, so
Barely. That's like, I guess is what it's like.
it's the same landmass as England, as the UK.
No, it's its own island, bro.
Okay.
So like you have Ireland is its own island. It's fucking huge, and then the whole UK is like this tiny little fucking little nub.
Ink blot.
It's its own island over here. And then you have the continent, the mainland of Europe, where it's France and Spain and Germany and all that shit. So it's like, yeah, technically, I guess.
Yeah,
Ireland
they're part of Europe.
Yeah, sort of. But it's barely Europe, dude. Because like when I think Europe, I think like Europe.
Sure.
I think like Spain, France,
Spain, Germany,
Italy, Germany.
Yeah.
You know, that's Europe. And then the UK is the UK. That's Wales, Scotland, England, and one more in there. Northern Ireland. I think there's also one more I'm also forgetting. But regardless, and then Ireland's kind of its own thing, dude.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like Dublin, and then the rest of it's countryside. So there's only really two ways you can go on vacation in Dublin. You either schedule this thing where you literally fucking... You have somebody drive you from town to town, and then you get to each town and you stay in like basically a bed and breakfast, and then you spend the day there or two, and then the next day you spend driving to the next place. And sometimes that's definitely what you're going to want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm
Sure.
not trying to go roam the wet countryside of Ireland and spend hours in the car because it's a big fucking country.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to Dublin, and then you can bounce on the trains and go hit certain historic spots, but then get back to the city.
Okay.
And then my point is like everyone goes to the Guinness pub, the official Guinness.
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to fucking go to the official. Hell no.
Yeah.
I want to go to like
trap.
the shittiest brew pub that sneakily has the best food in Dublin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you came to Northeast, like, yeah, I'll fucking bring you some bomb ass places for food.
Right.
Or I'll bring you to a fucking sweet ass bar. Or you can go to Psycho Susie's.
Right.
Yeah, their food's pretty decent. Yeah, they have a lot of cool drinks. It looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot cooler places to go.
Right.
Like, oh, you want to go to the Mall of America? Okay.
Why?
But that's what everyone said. Oh, man.
Because it's the biggest mall.
I got that a lot.
I still
down
cannot
there.
believe that people travel to Minnesota just to go to a fucking mall.
Dude, no lie. I got it a lot while I was down there. Oh, man, my wife wants to go up there. She wants to go to the Mall of America. I'm like, don't. And they're like, she really wants to. I'm like, don't. Unless you got kids and like you're looking for something to do in the winter for some reason, like you want to experience a Minnesota winter, then maybe you come up from Texas and you do it in the winter and you stay at a hotel near the Mall of America so you can regularly go to the mall and eat and shop, and even take your kids to the fucking Nickelodeon universe or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you're lucky, they set up that ice castle outside. There's some cool shit you could do, but like,
it's still
it's
just
still a
it's
fucking
still a
mall, man. And like, I don't know. I think it'd be way cooler to come in the summer, state fair time.
Yeah.
Hit Uptown, as long as there's not riots and fucking COVID lockdowns. Hit the state fair. That's what I was telling people. I was like, the state fair is the best. That's the fucking coolest thing. You will drink the weirdest shit there. You will eat the craziest food.
I'll try to do state fair like once every 5 years. I really don't.
Every year.
I really can't go every
That's where I drew the line with Tim Walz. I was like, safety of the people be damned. Once you shut down the state fair, I wanted him impeached. That was the one move that was too far for me. You shut down my state fair. We're impeaching you. All right. Is there anything else you want to fucking rap about? We got one more song to play.
Not really. Let's play it.
We did the two videos. We did one of the songs. Anything else you need to plug?
No.
Your album's coming out tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Links in the description, guys. You can pre-order it now, and then you'll just have it tomorrow, right? So what is that? How does that work when you do it on Bandcamp? Do you download it? Or is it like its own app? How's that work? Is it like iTunes or Spotify or whatever?
Bandcamp has an app that you can download, but it's also its own standalone website.
So if you go to the regular computer, you can download it and then move it to iTunes or whatever.
Yes.
Because I've always been super fucking irritated with that when bands do Bandcamp shit. I'm like, hey, fucking on Bandcamp, man.
Well, you need to get on Bandcamp.
Just put your fucking music on iTunes where I'm already at. And I pay $15 a month to stream.
Yeah. So
then I can just put your music on play, turn it down, turn my phone over and go to bed.
No, well, yeah. So
get you paid while I sleep.
Well, yeah, you would buy it on Bandcamp, but then you have the file. So you're buying the MP3 files.
Cool.
You're buying a digital download.
Put it on iTunes so
and then
I can.
You yourself can put it on iTunes.
No, put it on iTunes so I can get it for free because I'm already paying for iTunes, and that way I can listen to your music, stream it on repeat while I sleep, and make you money that way.
But wouldn't you want a physical copy on tape?
If you got one on tape, I'll take one.
We have cassettes.
Shirts yet?
They look really cool.
Got shirts?
We've got some designs, but nothing's printed yet.
Are you ever gonna fall off the wagon, or is this sobriety thing permanent?
I'm hoping it's permanent.
Damn. I'm just kidding, but I love you, man.
I'm almost 3 years in, so
you want to come back on?
I know in some terms that's like not next to nothing, but I feel like it's been an eternity. So
not in reference to the wagon, but you want to come back on? You want to do this again?
Yeah, I'd do this again.
All right.
It was okay.
It was alright. We
can just do, if you find your magic cards, it'll just be 3 hours of silence of me just going through.
It was crazy. It was crazier last time because we were both drinking on the last time, but no one ever heard that one.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Your episode is the only episode of the original podcast that still lurks on the internet.
Oh, really?
I don't know how it got up. I don't know. I don't know who posted it.
Somehow it leached its way onto the internet.
There's another version of the Jared Singer Extravaganza. It's the audio only version, and there's only one episode in existence, and it's your episode.
It's funny.
And if you search hard enough, you can find it somewhere on the internet. It's still there.
I remember I was drinking Uta pills.
Yeah, you brought over some craft beers.
Fuck yeah. I missed that place.
We got wasted.
The place was really cool. That's what I was drinking towards the end. Uta pills.
I think you were like the second episode. I think it was Chilton and then you.
Yeah, I was second or third. Yeah,
which is why I don't understand why yours was the first episode, or yours is the one that's up there.
Yeah, because you had done it.
It should have been Chilton's.
Yeah, you had done it with somebody else before me. Yeah, no, I knew that.
Just
I knew
one.
I was not the first.
But either way, it was weird. Or you were like the 8th episode or something like that. Like either way, like I was super confused. I was like, why is that? How did that episode get up? Like It doesn't make any sense. Who knows? But all right, guys, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Follow him. Do the damn thing. Or make sure you order the pre-order. Also, start harassing him and his band online so they get their music on iTunes and Spotify so you can listen to it wherever it's convenient for you, the listener, instead of them, these lazy fucks. I love you, bud. I'm just messing around. Yeah, so make sure it's all in the description. Blah, blah. You guys know the drill. Like, subscribe, share. And 420 special is on 417 through my Patreon. It's $1. Come on. Don't be cheap. Love you guys. That's all I got.
Okay.
See
you. Bye.
Okay. See you. Bye. Wait, I got to remember how to do this. It's been a week. It's been a week. This is still more professional than the last time you were on.